first game in the thousands to see their boys become champions of 67. And then he's a Westman. The first game in the thousands to see their boys become champions.
Hello and welcome to episode 86 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Joining us tonight we have Brian, Welshy boy from a former page to the podcast. We have John, United Ireland, and hopefully later on the show Michael, that's Michael Dundee from the forum page to the podcast as well. Our forum page of the podcast is www.celticrumours.co.uk. You can also check out all the links to the podcast and the forum in our description below. On tonight's show, let the celebrations begin as Celtic are crowned SPL champions of Scotland, as they drew all with Dundee United last night at Tannadice Park. We will look at the match, we'll talk about the match itself. Celtic Park celebrations last night as the Celtic fans welcomed the team home from their victory. An emotional Ange in his first interview after the Celtics win. We look at previous titles, how this title compared to previous titles, and we look ahead to the Motherwell game as Celtic will officially lift the SPL title. Michael, if he's on, will hopefully speak to us about some certain things at Tannadice last night as well. But we'll take that as it comes if he comes on the show. Firstly, I hand off to Mark for a few shout-outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. If Mikey does come on, Paul, he's dropping the Dundee for his name. If in future he's just going to be called Mikey boy or Mikey something, he's that pissed off with what happened. A few shout-outs to the lads in the forum like Tim Alloy, Richie and his family, JFP, Campsy boy and his new addition, Bobby, a few lads in the live chat, Bobby Sutherland, Bobby, Brian's here. OG, he's in, but he's going to walk the dog. That's everybody on we go, Paul. Just the subscribers, but 554 now. Just keep them up. So if you don't know if you've not subscribed, please do it. Hit the like button and leave a comment if you know how to. Thanks very much.
So Celtic just needed a draw against Dundee United at Tannadice last night. The game actually finished 1-1 and Celtic were officially crowned champions of the SPL. Gianmarcus opened the score for Celtic on the 53 minutes after another assist by Radisson. His 8th assist of the season and 6 assists for that Radisson provided for Gianmarcus. It wasn't a high-tempo game as we expected to see on the Ange, resting Rida, Kyogo, Yasha and Roderick, bringing in Forrest, Gianmarcus, Abada to lead the attack. Some fans weren't actually happy about the display of the Celtic team last night, but it wasn't all about the display, it was about getting the result. There was a nervousness around the Celtic team last night, and in my opinion it was expected from the team last night, as a lot of these players were in their first seasons at Celtic and haven't really won any major trophy throughout their career. Joe Hart started to Marcus up front. People don't understand that Dundee United themselves are good fight, and they would also
Somebody's telly playing in the background.
Hold on 2 minutes.
No bother. Sorry about that.
Yes. Some
Down
people,
boys.
like Welshy, some people failed to expect that Dundee United were actually wanting to secure European football last night, and them themselves were looking for a result against Celtic last night. In the end, 1-1 draw suited both teams. Mark, yourself first, like there was a nervousness around the team last night, but it was expected, Mark, just like what I said there, like a lot of these players kind of didn't win anything last night, you know what I mean? It was a nervous game, but I think it's harder, Mark, if you needed a draw. Do you know what I mean? I think it's harder, like you don't want to make that mistake. You get me to lose the game, you know?
Oh, no, it was some goal, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really was. I mean, at 1-0, I think the Celtic players kind of thought the game was done and dusted themselves. But once they equalised, it did start getting a bit nervy towards the end and that. But there was just about a league, Paul. See what after Saturday and it's all forgot about. Nobody's going to remember about how nervy the players looked playing at Tannadice last night. So all it's about is getting the result to get the points on the board.
That's what I'm saying, Mark. You know, I mean, it didn't matter. Well, it didn't matter how we played last night. We got the result that we needed. The players were expected to be nervous, but bar that goal, like these type of goals happened in football. It was a rocket. That goal was a rocket last night for Dundee.
That's up the road for me.
Does he?
Yeah, 2 mile up the road, next village up.
Oh wow! Yeah.
That's one of your claim to fame's, Welshy.
I'm within parties more.
You there?
Yeah.
That's me on, mate. Aye, that's me on, buddy.
Good man. Thanks for coming on, John. You too, Welshy, bud.
Oh, no worries, mate. Thanks for having us on, buddy.
No, but Welshy, like, it wasn't about performance last night. It was about getting the result that we needed, wasn't it?
Last night was about the party. It was getting over the leg and letting the boys enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. John, yourself, the match last night, just briefly talk about the match, John. Like, it didn't, the match itself didn't matter. It was all about getting a result. And, you know, there was some Celtic fans that were cribbing about the match last night on the live chat and stuff like that. But it wasn't about the game. It was about getting what we needed to get done. John?
Oh, can you hear us, mate? It's my sound cut off there for a minute, mate. Sorry.
No.
What were you saying there? That's easy earphones. What were you saying there? Sorry, mate.
I was just saying, like, some Celtic fans were actually cribbing about the game last night. You know, the way we played, it wasn't the high tempo we expected under Ange, but it was all about getting the result last night, and that was it. You know, we didn't have to lose the game, and we didn't lose the game.
100%. That's it. The title's over, and we've had a long, hard season. Everybody players have done tremendous, especially playing that high intensity all season. And that's what it was all about, just getting it out of the line, getting the title. And obviously, a lot of them would have felt a lot of relief as soon as that final whistle went. And what other fun? Dundee United as well, they were going for a European spot, so they played well. They came out and had a go as well, so you can't underestimate kind of. Sorry, but I'm happy last night. I'm buzzing. I can't wait to Saturday now.
Mark, I think people are kind of forgetting too, Mark. Like we have Jonas on with us here a lot in the podcast, and like he's a good friend to the podcast, Dundee United. But like there are no pushovers, Mark. Like they took 4 points off Rangers. Like this wasn't an easy game for Celtic. You know what I mean? It was.
Do you know, it's like your team selection led to the fact that we never even looked at it as a must-win game.
Oh, definitely.
That as well, Welshy, to be honest.
Definitely.
Definitely. We're obviously going to get into the James Forrest situation.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. I have that here, Mark, next.
As soon as you see him get like in a starting spot, you think to yourself, well, he's kind of giving him a chance. I'm looking at he's giving him a chance to show if he's still got anything to add to the team. And I thought he was really, really poor last night, to be honest.
Yeah, Mark.
And I was absolutely astounded.
I think if Mark
started.
That's what I was going to say to you, Mark. Like I looked at the lineup with you last night, and I said the first thing I said to you, Mark, I was like, Forrest. Where did that come from? Where did this decision come from? You know, where did he?
I kind of thought it was going to be a thank you. Let him play tonight. Let him play Saturday. Give a big send off on Saturday.
And that surprise shock then today, today that he's signing an extra 2-year contract.
I look at the Celtic at the minute, and I think to myself, things are changing. We're moving in the right direction. It's time to, like, Forrest is one of the ones I would go, give him a run on Saturday, let the fans say goodbye and thanks for the memories type of thing. But no, I'm surprised it's the contract, so very surprised.
But then I was looking at it, Mark, right, when you said it there about him, right, and I was looking at it, right, but there's rumours sucking around, right, okay, that Beaton, obviously, we know that Beaton's going to be gone, Mark, because his wife's expecting. He wants to go home as well, and that's the room. But Mark, the strangest thing for me is that the fella Dan Olvitz, Mark, the agent, Mark, who's being pretty bang on with everything Celtic are saying at the moment, and for him to come out, Mark, and say that Roger could be on his way out. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just thinking, Mark, that if these two players did leave, we're down two experienced players, Mark, who know the club, and he's trying to build a team. You kind of want these experienced players in there. I still can't see Forrest as.
Paul, they've still got to be producing. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think anybody would disagree. I'd rather that we kept a Hoddy beaten than Forrest.
Oh, I know that, yeah, exactly.
We know that at least Beaton when he comes on.
Well, it's it's not down to Celtic then, though, Mark.
No,
Beaton, do you get me?
I know what you're saying, but I mean, I'm assuming that it's got to be in lesser money, Paul. Do you get what I mean?
think so, Mark. Yeah,
But we spoke about it as well, Paul, on podcasts, and we've spoke about it in the forum. Celtic, for a while there, they had a habit of just giving these players that were 30 plus a year's extension. So why is Forrest getting a 2-year one?
Mm-hmm.
What I don't understand is and I don't like to be talking negative after last night.
Exactly, yeah. But has to be done.
The way I would see it is that you just mentioned it right there. I would keep Beaton over Forrest as a choice, because Beaton's a game changer in terms of how you change the game.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to look to Forrest the last 20 minutes to come change the game, go and win it, because he's to me, he's not got it anymore.
No, it's Forrest is maybe under Rodgers 3-4 years ago or that.
Mark, I noticed,
not any longer. We're nowhere near it.
Especially last night, no, Mark. It was evident again last night, and it was evident throughout the season. Anytime James Forrest played, the tempo on the Celtic team isn't the same. All right? There's no Sorvis getting into Giamarcus, Mark, choked the whole game when Forrest was there. His ability to cross, Mark, seems to be wayward as well. Do you know what I mean?
He's never had that ability.
Yeah. It's like how fast we play Welshy. He's not. Mostly he'd be a big part player next season.
I think he'll know that himself, and that's what I'm saying. I'm assuming.
But that's the biggest problem, Mark. Yeah, I see that's the biggest problem, Mark. Like he's the third biggest owner in the club.
I don't think that's going to be the case anymore, Paul.
Yeah.
I really don't.
John, what's your thoughts on that contract situation actually with James Forrest signing today?
I was surprised when I heard it, but in terms of, I'm not really too bothered. I've always liked James Forrest, but I think he can, obviously, gone forward, they can offer you goals and assists and that, but as you were touching up there as well, I don't really see much kind of place in the team from in terms of this high intensity and that, but I don't know, it's obviously Ange's gave a go ahead, so if obviously Ange's good, but I'm good with it, because everything else he's judged and he's got right so far, so I was shocked at it, but
even what I've said before, Paul, about like as years go on, wingers kind of move into the middle and things like that.
You can't see that for Forrest, Mark. Yeah, he's not that type of player.
He's not.
Physically, he's not.
He's not. But even Paul, that kind of passing ability. Do you know what I mean? I'm not comparing Forrest to Giggs, but when Giggs could pass the ball about as much when he moved into the middle and things like
exactly.
that. You know what I mean? Forrest doesn't go the kind of passing range to do a job through the middle.
I think, Mark. I think that could be the only reason, really, why Forrest is staying.
I'm
because of the experience.
Players to stay. I've no problem with staying. I'd just like to think that where the terms of the wage bill and everything else comes in, and whether he's going to restrict his getting somebody else in.
See, that's it.
That's it as well. It really is. I mean, what did you say Forrest on, Paul? We looked him up before about 18 to 20 grand or something. 22.
He's on 23 grand now.
If he's going to do 7 or 8 grand a week and said I'm just happy to stay here, then that's great.
Mm-hmm.
If he's on 15, 20 grand a week, that's sort of,
That's a player, Welshy.
That's 2 players for us. If he stopped walking away with that kind of money, Welshy's saying there, that's the wages of 2 players for us, really, 23 grand a week.
Like you have young players, Mark, trying to break into the team, into the first team now, like the young lad Murphys and stuff like that. And like it's the same situation, Mark. We spoke last season. Like if these players are going to be staying there, it's going to hinder young players getting into the first team as well.
Well, here's a question for you for the three years then. Who would you rather be give a new contract to, Forrest or that young Dembele?
It needs to be definitely Dembele, wouldn't it? Because
Dembele.
Nah, it's a future, isn't it? It's just,
Even if the future's no as great, but it's into it, John. Even if he doesn't turn out the player everybody's hyped up to go,
I think Mark, with
something a bit more kind of progressive into
I
it.
think
it's just.
yeah,
Go
John,
away.
go on, no, John, go on.
It's a future, and if it doesn't turn out as great, we just kind of comes up to that level as well. And it's somebody we can make a profit off as well, possibly in the future. They get up to decent levels as well, so it's a kind of income for the club too.
I think, Mark, the difference between the two of them is you're not really going to improve James Forrest.
I was just about to say that.
Do you know what I mean? You know, and Dembele's situation, Mark, he never had a manager who was speaking to you and who could actually improve you as a player as well. You're like, Dembele's only 19, like, you know what I mean?
And he was unlucky to get injured.
Yeah,
See, if he
exactly.
didn't get
And
injured,
I think he would have got game time. Yeah, exactly. It would have been different, Mark. Yeah, and I think, like, Ange could have. If Dembele stayed, I think we could see a different player in Dembele. You know what I mean? He's just been unlucky with Brendan Rodgers, Mark, and he's been unlucky with Neil Lennon. Two managers who did not want youths in their side. You know.
Aye, the two of them were interested in it.
Yeah, two, Mark. So what's that? That's nearly 5 seasons, Mark. Like, we had two managers for 5 seasons who didn't believe in promoting young lads. Like, people are saying Terry, but it was Ronnie Dyder, Mark, that brought them in.
And see, but see if you think about it, Paul, it's like they spoke about doing it. Do you get, because it was a kind of in thing to do. You know what I mean? To talk, even Brendan Rodgers to talk about how he would change the club to it. Do you know what I mean? We would get youth players coming up and everything's kind of thing and that. But Rodgers was never interested in doing anything like that. He's still, even at Leicester, I mean, he's basically just a checkbook manager.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
100%. He's been at the kind of clubs, he just wants money, just replace a player right away, just couldn't buy something.
Because I was in the
Not
same.
just that, it's getting money to replace players when you've made wrong choices. It's just like an endless thing. But at Celtic, you don't get that opportunity, do you? You got to get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
If Leicester buy somebody for £12 million and it doesn't work out, they can still sell them for £10-12 million. It's not a big loss of them.
Exactly. You know, because I was in the same thinking of Welshy, and I'm sure every Celtic fan was, Mark, that the reason James Forbes was put in last night, that it was his final hurrah in a Celtic jersey. He get a bit of a game then on Sunday at home. You know, but no, it's not looking like that. But it is strange, Mark. So look, we've trusted Ange all season, Mark. Do you know what I mean? And
here's one I'll put the cat among the pigeons. Is my new head of scouting and recruitment getting anything to do with this decision?
What's that?
Is my
Matt Waller?
Aye, is our new head of scouting and recruitment getting anything to do with this decision?
Could be right.
Possibility, aye.
I mean, it's his job, really, isn't it, kind of thing?
Why do we want it?
It goes back to what I was thinking before. It really comes down to what the wages are, doesn't it?
Aye, I'm convinced Welshy must have took a good chunk of a wage drop, I think. Maybe he's took a bit of like a heavy dunt in his wages and he's been promised a testimonial.
Testimonial or something, that's right.
Do you know what I mean? They do that with a lot of older players and things like that as well. He deserves a testimonial for being here that long. He really does. Well, I mean,
certainly, there'd be nothing better. At the end of the day, if it was announced today that he was leaving, then it would be like, you know, Forrest would be a great servant for us. Gave him his big send off. So the fact that he's staying is not a criticism on. Don't let the guy know that grateful for what he's done.
Exactly.
Those things are moving on.
And we don't see where he'll fit into Ange's team moving forward.
But Mark,
no.
Boss, just put it this to you, like, you know, we spoke with Terence, we spoke with Barry on the podcast, Mark. James Forrest, Mark, was one of those players who really didn't have a pre-season this season, and that's why he was picking up all these injuries throughout. Like, James Forrest was never match fit, Mark, throughout the whole season this year. So, Mark, maybe I know, yeah, true. Exactly, true.
Come on,
true.
that was my money. I mean, as Welshy's saying, I'm not slagging the guy off. He's been a great servant. And Kev on the forum kind of once me looking at his goals and assists, I thought, "I'll fair dues, give him a bit of a due." But I've just never been convinced of James Forrest. Really, no. Do you know what I mean? Because he's one of the players. He's just in and out the team, and he's always picking up injuries. And it was silly injuries. Because I can remember his back. He was out with his back, in and out the team with his back. It turned out it was something to do with the car that he was driving. I mean, that's stupid stuff.
And even like that, Mark, like picking up small injuries this year, like, you know what I mean? And like
catching his zip in the disco and that.
I think, Mark, it could come down to an experienced player that Ange wanted to keep an experienced player in the dressing room. Because if we look at it, Mark, really, if Beeson and I'm not saying Rodgers leave, but if he did, really all you have, Mark, an experienced players who've been at the club is Callum McGregor, James Forrest, and Joe Hart.
Maybe even it's maybe not even much like as such as a wage cut, but maybe it's a little more like appearance based or that his new kind of deal. So maybe if he's not in the team,
well, maybe Mark, someone might come in from Mark. We've seen it before in clubs. Like someone might come in with him, and Celtic might accept a bid. You never know, Mark. It could be all down to that, like. You know?
I don't think Celtic would sell him now. Plenty of players not going to sign a new contract if he knows he's got a chance of more money on a signing on fee because he's only got a year left.
So, in all fairness, if you're going to look at it that way, where would you see him going?
The only place I could see him going, really,
look at Scott
Championship.
Sinclair,
I think his time down in England passed anyway, even in the Championship, I think.
He would be
passed. That's what I'm saying, Mark.
Scott Sinclair was a better player. Look what happened to him.
It would be both men to the champ. It would be his career would just get into oblivion, basically. I think if he left Celtic.
Mark, if James Forrest was going, Mark, realistically, a club that would take James Forrest would be Sunderland, and if they are still in League One.
It would be. Then it would be options up here, but could they afford wages?
Hibs or something like that. Hibs or something like that, Mark. That's the only place really.
Maybe Forrest had just thought,
exactly, Mark.
He's not
where is he going to go?
He's not going to be a first starter every week.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. Where is he going to go?
I'll stick here. I've got plenty of money. I've got plenty of medals. I'm settled up. Why move on for the sake of a few years? I'll just see what here. But I definitely think it'll be on less money, or at least less money if he's not playing or that kind of thing. I think maybe it'll be a lot more appearance based, his wages and that.
He probably just understands where he is, doesn't he?
What's that, John? Sorry?
He probably just understands where he is. He's not going any bigger on this. And
yeah, exactly.
What I was saying, he's just happy where he is, happy to get a couple of games here and there, and play Champions League and that.
He's 31 now, indeed, James Forrest. He's pushing on 31. Like, Mark, he's at the end of his career. Do you mean maybe he wants to finish his career at Celtic? Who's to say, Mark, he's going to stay on for 2 years? Do you get me? 3 years? Do you mean he might retire in 2? Do you know what I mean? He just maybe wants, like, as a player, Mark, you want that security anyway, don't you? Maybe he might retire himself then, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
Wouldn't it? As I said, Paul, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a testimonial or something in it for him. A bigger kind of one last kind of payday kind of appreciation for the fans. I mean, as I said, I've given him a lot of stick over the years, Paul, but he is one of the most underappreciated players I can remember at Celtic for the length of time he's been there. I've not even got a song for a guy, do you know what I mean? That's a bit...
Exactly, Mark, exactly.
He's one of the players that you still think is a young boy at times.
Aye, it's like that Jesse Lingard. Everybody still goes on about as if he's a young player waiting to burst through, and he's like 29 and 30 now. No?
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Now that's your task for the game of Saturday, Welshy. You need a song started for James Forrest.
Do you know, Mark, there's another fella there now that has been in this Celtic team since he was younger, and we've raved about him all season, the change he's done, but I just wanted to point him out again, Mark, is Tony Ralston, right? The way he gets forward, Mark, is just second to none. I mean, providing assist again for the goal. So out of 14 of Gianmarcus's goals, Mark, 6 of them have come from Ralston. He's 8 assists this season, like, you know what I mean?
I know Juranovic, I really like Juranovic, and I think he's probably a better rounded player than Ralston, Paul. See for maybe like in the Champions League kind of thing.
More experience kind of thing, Mark.
Could maybe read the game a wee bit more more kind of cuter, continental than Ralston does, but I've raved about him the way he's turned around, Paul. But you're saying there, I didn't know that about his stats for assists and that. That's some turn. That's different class, really, for a right.
Gianmarcus gets more of his goals, Mark, when Ralston's playing. And more balls are actually coming into the box when Ralston is playing.
I know Juranovic is actually he's injured now, but I mean Ralston never stopped snapping his heels fake.
Exactly, Mark. He could have
just put his seat down and accepted he was the backup right back, but he never done that. Do you know what I mean?
That could only be good for Juranovic and Celtic as well.
Exactly, it keeps him on his toes as well.
Exactly. Do you know, like, even like you could even see it last night, Welshy, like that. The way he was celebrating the win last night, do you know what I mean? Like he was saying in his interview, like, this is something I've dreamed of, he said, throughout my life, was to lift the title with Celtic and play the season, he said. And play. He said he lifted titles, Welshy, with him.
He's living the dream we all want to dream, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He plays with his heart and his sleeve. You know, he's well over the moon for the boy. You know, if he never makes another appearance for Celtic, I'm over the moon for the boy.
Exactly. Do you know, like, John, for a player who never ever got a look in, like, you know what I mean, like, and what Big Ange has done for him, and he's taken on every single thing that Ange has said it to him.
Well, listen, to me, I mean, you can say what you want about Ange there, but the credit's all to Ralston. He's been kicked in the balls, sent on loan, written off everything else, and he's come back and gone, I'm going to give this a go, and then he's gone. Well done to him.
We even had Jonas on at the start of this. Mind Welshy, we had Jonas on talking about him. He'd seen him at Dundee Utd and says he didn't see anything in him at all.
You know, like it's quite amazing, Mark. Like, you know what I mean? It really is. Like it's like a fairy tale, Mark. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a player who was written off by everyone at the club, even fans and everything. Like, and to come back, and it was like a new signing, Mark. Weren't they like signing a new player?
He pulled us at the shite.
You
know, because at that point when he came in and he started playing, there was nobody.
No, and that's the only reason he got that contract.
I mean, they gave him a 1 year deal, and that must have just been a case of, we'll give this year deal to kind of hang about and make up the numbers for us.
There was nobody in that position at all, was there?
He's went well above and beyond that. He really has.
Like, you compare, Mark, right? What we had since Lusting left, like, you know what I mean? And we had that fella Kenny from Everton last year. Like, Radisson, to me, is twice the player that the lad Kenny was.
We've seen that Kenny and that Bob.
Yeah.
Decent player, but just loan signings just
don't work, Mark.
I know, no for that kind of. That was out of desperation we signed him in loan.
See, when you look at the start of the season when Ange first came in, you had Ralston at right back, Taylor at left back, then you had Dan Murray and Welsh in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And losing 11 points in your first games, Welshy. You know what I mean?
That's it. I mean, he always with Carter Vickers and Starfelt never lost a game in the league.
Yeah, and that was key to this defence. Was Starfelt needed an experienced defender next to him, because Starfelt wasn't the player to put your hand around the young fella. Did you get me, Mark?
But to be fair, Paul, you wouldn't have said Carter Vickers was an experienced defender, would you?
But you would, Mark, you see, because of the club that he's with. Do you get me? The club that he was with.
I'd lean more towards the fact that there was no settling in period. They had to, you know, once they got settled, that was it. They had a tight
partnership, yeah.
The first few games it was kind of sink or swim, kind of deep, wasn't it?
Like, this has been the best partnership in the centre-back pair in Welshy I saw at Celtic for a long, long time.
Oh, Van Dijk and Demi ever know bad together, were they?
Yeah, but that's going back a good couple of years now, though, isn't it?
No, that's what I mean. But you think about it, though. You've probably got to go back that couple of years to think last time when they settled centre-backs.
Exactly. You know, it's...
Would you swap any of the two of them for Big Aya?
No.
No chance.
No.
They wouldn't, you know.
The only thing I'd say about Aya is his versatility to play at the full-backs was a bit better than coming from midfield. But see, I like Carter Vickers and Starfelt, because see, two of them, they're just defenders.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying that's what you want your defenders to do first.
I was watching, Mark.
End the goal.
Mark, I was watching Brentford the other day, and Oyer.
Who were they playing?
I think he scored, so he did. I think he got a goal.
I think they were playing Brighton.
Oh,
But he's done well for him. Like,
it's a big game then.
but Mark, but he's
Big Super Sunday ones.
he's constantly getting done. But he's constantly getting done for pace. Oyer. Down, and we thought he was fast up here, but down the south, he's getting caught for pace nearly week in and week out. You know? I think you know what?
He plays our CDM, Paul.
I know, and he'd be caught for pace, Mark, definitely.
Don't get me wrong. I like Tyre. I was
no
a
doubt.
good player for us. But you think, another case of a young boy comes through, done his bit, and off he went. Good luck to him.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Of all the players, Mark,
He was a good
he was the only one that tried, really, wasn't he?
He was a good player for Celtic. He wasn't a great player for us. He was a good player, but he could have become a great player for us if he'd stayed. But don't get us wrong. I don't think. I'm surprised that there's no been. I thought he'd have been doing to England and done better than he's done, Paul. And there'd have been bigger teams sniffing about him than now. But I think eventually he will move on to a bigger team than Brentford.
He picked up a bad injury muscle as well, Mark. So he missed a good few months actually down there. Oyer. He picked up a bad muscle injury down there, right? Or Oyer, he did so.
Well, maybe that's put back a wee bit. But
that actually
seems to be much longer.
It seems to be the norm after previous Celtic players under Neil Lennon start moving to a different club. They start pulling muscles.
Well, we can't talk about that after what happened with us with Ange's training methods, Paul, the amount of injuries that caused us.
Yeah, but Mark, look at it now. Look at them now. They seem to be picking up actually less. Do you know what I mean?
Ange self said that with Tartan.
Here's one for you. How do you think we would be if it wasn't for the 5 sub rule?
That's a good question.
That makes a big difference to how the 5 sub rule plays in their hands.
Definitely.
Did you not say they're stopping that, Paul?
Yeah, next season, yeah. That's only temporary.
It was still back in, is it no?
No, it was only temporary this season because of the COVID hitting again in Christmas. And because
every league's trying to fight for it now, aren't they?
Yeah, everyone's trying to fight. Trying to get it back in.
I think that's a great thing as well because it basically lets you change half your outfield.
Exactly, man.
I think see what sometimes like Ange like making 3 subs. I know it's down to timings as well. You can make 2 subs at a time. It only counts as one, but see sometimes when you're just throwing on 3 straight subs.
Does that take the weight of Denmark away from what we want? Yeah.
And I kind of noticed that sometimes with Ange, and I've seen other people mention it as well.
You know, because it has.
I think his mentality basically, because it doesn't really matter who's on the pitch, they're all taught the same way, aren't they?
Well, that's that's your kind of thing, isn't it? It's like alright.
The transition's just.
But take Rogic off and replace him with Turnbull, and he'll just keep doing what he was doing.
You're just replacing legs, aren't you?
Mark, actually, what have you thought? What have you thought of Turnbull since he came back from injury?
He's done no bad.
Fairness to him.
I like Turnbull.
But Brian,
I like Turnbull. I like him. I like Turnbull.
I think he's got potential to be a good player for us. I think he needs to.
Do you know what, though, Mark?
I think the
fact that there is a lot of squad rotation, a bigger squad just now as well, that'll help Turnbull because it's not on his shoulders. You know, he can actually come on and do his bit.
Do you know what, though? It's something Terence mentioned about Turnbull, Welshy. Do you know that we seem to be struggling in the midfield area? Would we be nearly better off kind of putting Turnbull in that position along Callum McGuire to put a bit of toughness in there because he's used to the physicality of it.
I think we've struggled the last. I mean, it sounds daft to say we've struggled because of where we are, but since Hatate played well against them, I've not seen much for him since then.
He's wrecked. Hatate is wrecked.
Aye. And that's what I've seen, Paul, last night. It was
surprise last night, Mark.
That were 2 big surprises. The guy himself came out and said he's knackered. He shouldn't be even, for me, I thought he shouldn't even be in the squad now, Paul, over the last couple of games. He came out and said that.
To be fair, Mikey was probably laughing at him and telling him he's selling up.
Like you can,
Because he
John,
can
you
play
can,
all day, can't he?
John, you can clearly see that the lad is tired. Like I say, you know.
Aye, it's just Welshy was saying, obviously, for that game against him, you've not really seen much of him. And kind of as the game goes on, you just see he's kind of bowling. And it's just, Mark was saying as well, last night was a bit, when I seen him playing, when I started him, I would have kind of put somebody else in there. Seeing Ange's making subs, I don't know when it comes to seeing games, I've noticed that you've won the game, you're sitting 3-4-0 up, and it's the last 10-15 minutes, and he's kind of just bringing on the same people that beat him. I don't know why he's not getting like Jay McCarthy a chance, kind of give him that wee 15-20 minutes to kind of give him a bit of confidence and kind of show what he's got and a bit of toughness in midfield.
What I think as well, next season, Mark, we'll actually see more of Il Gucci in the team, I think.
Do you not think that's to John? Do you not think though that to that highlights to me he's got no faith in McCarthy whatsoever?
Aye, 100%. I was speaking to a guy about that and work, and that's what he said. It just shows you what he thinks about McCarthy. But even as Paul was saying, I like the Gucci. Why not bring him on? It was always.
I think next season will be we'll actually see more of a Gucci.
Well, Bitter's not going to be there, so something's going to come.
I think, Gucci and that, they were talking about him on the live chat as well, Paul, that Boston Liverpool guy, he's meant to be.
Well, I'm planning, Mark, right? And, you know how I feel, Mark. I always kind of keeps an eye on the youth team, like, and I keep an eye on all the players. When the season is closed, I'm actually going to do up a piece next week for next week's pod. And throughout the whole summer, Mark, I'm going to concentrate on the young players. Do you get me?
Aye.
So we're going to talk about the young players and who has the ability to progress, Mark. But Bosman Law, if we're looking for toughness, Mark, in our midfield area, it's Bosman Law. Like, I know he's been playing a lot in defence in Celtic's team in the coach league, but he's not. He's not a defender, do you get me, Mark? He's a defensive midfielder, and that's the position he plays for Ireland. That's the position he played down in South.
You also think, though, Paul, that you find a lot of these young boys when they're good at youth levels, when they play that position, that they're actually moulded into play further back as they go forward.
They do, exactly. But that's what he do, Welshy. This he'd be the type of player, though, right, that we're missing. Do you get me? We're missing the player who will just sit back and break up the play, and he'll do that. Do you get me? That's the player.
So. And he's going to have that opportunity. Otherwise, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. You know, that's why. Like another prime example, Mark. Like, and I'm supposed to do him tonight, but I said we'll do him next week as well. Is young Toby, Mark? Like, this is why I don't think, Mark, we should sign a new goalkeeper. You know, because if we go away and sign a goalkeeper, Mark, like, I'd be realistic, Mark, and I said it straight out, and people are saying he did sell him. Skpe isn't leaving Celtic.
No.
And that's a fact. He signed a new contract recently, Mark. He's going to be there. And the reason he's going to be there, Mark, is for one reason only, is to progress Toby into the first team.
Do you know, without sounding arrogant, no, Paul, and I'm 100% agree with you. See, all right, if we lose Joe Hart and it's a big game in Europe or whatever it might be.
Yeah, but
these young any young boy that we have should surely be able to hold their own in any
SPL game. But
I'm not disagreeing with you. The fact that anybody we sign or backup goalkeeper, defender, midfield, whatever it might be, we shouldn't be. Every player should be capable of coming in and slotting in to play against any SPL team.
But Welshy, Toby is so confident. I have no issue with him stepping into a European game, and that's the honest truth. That's the honest. Mark, you know how much I love the goal. But even at that, Mark,
I spoke to you, bud.
Even about the goalkeeping position, like, you know what I mean. I think he's been playing. He's been England's number one, Welshy, right? Even when he's not playing under 17s, under 18s, and under 19s, he's been England's number one. Without playing competitive football for Celtic for these past few seasons, he's still been England's number one. He's recently been called up to the under-21s, and he's dislodged Chelsea's youth keeper at number one, and he's dislodged Manchester United's youth keeper as number one, who were both England under-21 keepers, Mark, for the past 3 years between the two of them. And he's came in with only playing one season with the Coach League and dislodged two of them at under 21s level, and he's only 19 years of age.
Can see Paul likes him, can you?
Paul's his agent.
You know, but Mark,
Gucci's got a rival.
but Mark, he does though, Mark. But it's a simple thing, Mark. If we bring in a
I
keeper,
don't think we need another keeper.
that's what I'm saying.
About that.
But if
The three of them, that should be enough for.
But if we did, Mark, right, and if we did, right, it's going to be Hart, Bain, and this new keeper. Toby could walk out the door. You know what I mean?
But
And
you know,
then-
do you know,
Where's Bain moves on, Paul?
Devil's advocate there, Paul. If he's good enough, would he bother?
I wouldn't think so, because what he said, he's come out recently, Bright, and he said when he was growing up, he admired one keeper and one keeper only. It was Joe Hart. He watched Joe Hart growing up for England, but as he got older, he modelled himself on Manuel Neuer for Bayern Munich, and Edison of Manchester City. So he's a modern goalkeeper. Do you get me? And he said to be training with Joe Hart now and Stevie Woods is a dream come true for him. And he spoke to Ange recently, and Ange told him that he will be part of the first. He'll be still playing the Codes League back, because you can do that. You know what I mean? So, but he will be part of the first team squad next season. And I think we could see him get a few games, Mark, maybe in a League Cup or something like that, which we should be doing, Mark, because Joe Hart, a goalkeeper, needs a rest too, Mark, let's be honest, like, you know what I mean? You know?
No, come on.
Oh, they do, Mark.
No, they don't.
Of course they do, but I tell you why they do.
You did. You're a wee fat guy. With dodgy knees.
Yeah, Mark, Joe Hart is pushing on 30, 34, 35 now, Mark.
Why do they need a rest to be? Come on, honest.
It's not physically, Mark, it's more mentally. Do you know what I mean? It's just mentally, like, you know what I mean? And if you want to keep your...
Joe Hart didn't get a rest all season.
No, that's what I'm saying, he hasn't. Only for he picked up an injury, and we had Barkas and Bain stepping in that time, you know?
But they're talking about that young Toby and that, right? Quite right, be serious for a minute. But what if Hart get injured, Paul? Is he good enough to step up there?
Most definitely, Mark.
Well,
Most definitely, because
like that's a big shout.
it's a big shout, Mark.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, Paul, to see Bain maybe move on this. I mean, when did he sign that new contract?
It's halfway through the season.
We're halfway through the season, Mark.
Yeah. I thought it was last season he'd signed.
No. Mark, there's a thing like Hazard is going to be sold as well, right? Because Hazard now has 23, 20 going on 24 now, Mark, and he hasn't.
I don't see him in much future.
Yeah, exactly. Barkas, we know, is going to be gone. All right, so you need Hart, and it'll be Bain, it'll be Toby. But Mark, I wouldn't be surprised if Hart got injured, and Ange. Stevie Wood said, Mark, he hasn't saw a young goalkeeper like this in a long time.
I mean, that's how young goalkeepers sometimes get their break in the game. So
Look at Dave Marshall. Mark, back all those many years ago.
Get through in at the deep end and turns out they prove themselves. Not even like Donnarumma, players like that, De Gea, when they were the only young boys and playing at top clubs.
There seemed to have been a wee swing at one point, didn't there, when they started putting the young boys in these top clubs, but it seems to have levelled out a wee bit.
Like, Mark, I was even looking at his stats the other night when I was talking to you, Welshy. I spent the whole night. I didn't get to sleep till 3 o'clock.
I was surprised with them fucking jotters you've got.
I was up looking at him, right? I was looking, Mark, since when he signed for.
More homework than a school teacher.
Yeah, when we signed him from.
Did you see the picture, Welshy?
Of that, my A4 refill pads.
Pictures. The last time I was speaking to Paul, it was midget porn. I don't want to see his pictures.
The A4 refill pads, Welshy, I put up to 10 A4 refill pads full of podcasts. You know.
The secret diary of Adrian Mole, you've always old diaries when he was sitting chugging into socks and stuff like that.
You know,
we love poems he wrote about Veronica and that.
When I was reading about him, right? I was looking at his stats. He was such a raw talent when we signed him in 2019 for Spurs, right? His stats were next to existent, you know. But as he came to Celtic, Mark, the same scouts did a new report on him, and his stats now, like his ball control and handling, and even when we signed him, Mark, he was this kind of scrawny looking kid. He's built now, like, do you get me?
If you keep going on about him, we've no very anything to talk about when you do the right up for him.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing, Mark.
About 20 minutes you've been on about him.
Because, Mark,
we must be the only podcast in Celtic that spent the last 40 minutes talking about a reserve goalkeeper.
I could do. That's what I want to do a full show, Mark, next week, because I have so much belief in this guy, Mark, that it's convince people that we don't need a fucking a new goalkeeper. Do you get me?
Well,
you know,
I don't think. Well,
it's money, Mark, that can be used somewhere else in the squad. Do you get me?
Well,
you know?
I mean, if Bain's there, right, as you said, I don't see Bain going anywhere if it was only this season he signed that extension.
Bain's the better of the three, Mark, that's there. Hazard,
How many
Barkas,
games did Joe Hart miss this season?
About 3. Realistic, when does the keeper miss a good chunk of the season unless it's a serious injury? Really, Welshy, did you get me?
But that's where I'm going with this. Is Joe Hart's number one, and will be on next season unless something drastic happens.
Exactly.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, I put it on the forum as well. People I don't know who the wee guy is on the forum keeps having digs about Hart and that, but I'm totally delighted to get into Champions League next year with a keeper of the ability,
definitely, Mark,
and the experience of Joe Hart.
Definitely.
I mean, right, Joe Hart, he's making odd mistakes in that, right? He's 35 now. See if he wasn't making any mistakes, he would still be a number one for a big team down in England.
See that double save in Leverkusen?
Exactly.
One of the best saves I've ever seen.
Or even the saves there, Mark. Last week against Ross County, the 2 saves against Ross County, they were in. If we'd back us in goal last season, Mark, a Hazard, I think those goals were gone in last. Like the important saves he made for Celtic this season has been unbelievable. Like, you know.
Don't shite it when he gets the ball, though, don't we?
Oh. Seems to be getting worse at that bit, didn't he, as the season's been on? But just to sit here and say, he seems quite confident with the ball at his feet and that, and then the last few games there's been some right, oh my God, lump in the throat moments, isn't there?
Exactly. Holds on to a bit too much, don't he? Sometimes he just has to put it up.
Yeah, but then again, John, by fucking, it's coming from Ange, like, it's coming from Ange.
But he doesn't do Ange is on his back, getting on pelter.
Screaming at him.
I suppose it's sometimes, but it's just a bit nerve-wracking sometimes. It's better to get it up. But I suppose the manager's getting your orders in it and he's shouting down your throat to do it, and he has to do it.
JFP's joined the live chat as well. He's saying Joe Hart's the reason the title is home.
I think JFP actually was one of the things Marco was saying we need to sign a new goalkeeper, wasn't he? JFP.
Oh, was he?
I love seeing Kev grovelling on Twitter. He's always apologising.
Who?
Kev, he's always apologising for slagging Joe Hart off.
As I've said, I wasn't keen on signing Hart. I really wasn't. But he's rammed the words right down my throat. His performances, Paul, and what he brings to the squad.
Exactly, Mark.
If
you think, Mark, that the information of players, like how much people are spending on goalkeepers and stuff, to sign Joe Hart, Mark, at 1 million. Do you know what I mean? And to get the players you said, Mark, with that experience and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has to be, Mark, for the value what we paid for him. He has to be the signing of the season for us. I know we signed old players that got goals, Kyogo, G. Marcus, but if you take out
the overall effect, he said, Paul.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, Mark. Yeah.
Difference made to the team. When you compare like him, the kind of upgrade on the keepers we had, Paul.
Exactly, Mark.
And else you had in it.
Because like
a bargain at £1 million.
The recruitment this year has been second to none.
Oh, brilliant. You know, it really, really has. Like, you know what I mean? It has been. It just seems at the moment, Brian, that everything seems to be going in the right way. When we started doing the podcast, we were saying Celtic need to change things here. The board should be keeping away from signing players, and we need a proper structure. Ange did it this season, but now we're going to have Mark Lord coming in now, doing that job that Ange shouldn't be doing. Do you get me? You know, it seems to be going in the right direction. You know?
The recruitment's been brilliant. I mean, you look at some of the players, there's so many players out there that we could all be football analysts and everything else and then pick who we want to sign and this, that and the other. I mean, Jota, I'd never heard of him. Carter Vickers, never gave him a second thought when he was playing at Bournemouth or playing for Spurs. Starfelt hadn't really heard of him. But you know, it's also good to see. Yeah, but the way they've all come in, bought into what's going on and settled in, you know, there's been some right good bonuses there.
Yeah, exactly, like Mark D.
But that's all these number crunching stuff, and that's the team that came up with all these signings and that, and the scouts and stuff like that now.
Well, that's it. The Matt O'Reilly one's a perfect example. I keep saying that analytic guy on Twitter, whatever he's called, and he keeps saying that his rankings up there because that's how they base all these things.
Liverpool, he's flipped up to Liverpool and everybody because of that ranking stuff that they use Welshy.
But for some reason, somebody said his contract, didn't he? And we managed to get it for $1.5 million before anything happened.
Welshy says the scouting and even the quickness of getting the deals out of the line and everything, the recruitment side of things we can't grumble with it at all. And can we put that down to Peter Lowell not being there? Can we put it down to Michael Nicholson being there? Or do we put it down to
Mark? It's definitely it definitely.
As you said, Paul, there's a change all through the club, and for the change of where we're at the now for so quick a time's fantastic. To see what for the next few months, I'm really, really excited to see what happens, Paul.
Because Mark, I don't want to dwell it out much, but you came under a bit of criticism on the forum last week by some member criticising you because he said he's still angry at the board and you said, but why are you angry at the board? Like, what has this board done wrong this season? It's a brand new CEO. We can't hold Michael Nicholson, Mark, for the failures of Peter Lord. Because when Michael Nicholson came in,
he was angry because they appointed Neil Lennon. They've still the appointed Ange as well. Do you get what I mean? I think the guy was just looking for an argument with me that night.
You know what? Yeah.
If what happened at Celtic this season, right? I'm not taking anything away from Ange. He's been the catalyst for it. But everything that's happened at Celtic this season has been down to decisions the board's made.
I certainly don't think, Mark, we would have got these players if Peter Lord was still there.
No,
I don't think we would have.
Decisions always come down to the board and money and stuff like that. And the board's got to be gave a lot of credit as well for the way they've backed Ange and they've helped to turn the club around this season.
You know, a change in the guard there.
I'm the apologist for the board, Paul, but I'll give them dog's abuse, but I'll also give them credit when it's due.
Give them credit, Mark, where credit is due. Exactly, Mark. Exactly.
But the 3 Japanese boys have been signed before the deals were done and dusted, waiting for the window to open. Not even the window to open for the legal departments to open to do the paperwork.
Mark, Peter Law would have held it on by seeing if we got them cheaper again, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
There's no way the deals would have been finalised for us on the 30th or the 31st of December if Peter Law was in charge. No, I hope in hell, Mark.
No, definitely, Mark. Definitely, boy. We wouldn't have even signed half of Mark.
Even down to
we'd have been in trouble, Mark, going into the new season, Mark, if Peter Law was still the
board should never ever even be a conversation when it comes to the football team.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say there, Welshy, because I was going to say we've all spoke about Lowell who were blue in the face, and fans are coming to say Michael Nicholson. We never hear from him. When do you ever hear from like the Chelsea CEO or the Arsenal CEO or anybody like that?
Yeah, you don't.
No, it's not their place to be in the public eye talking about like potential what they're doing for signings and stuff like that.
Well, Mark, one person, Mark, I do want to hear from when he officially comes to Celtic. I actually do want to hear from Mark Lowell and see what his plans are.
Aye, but that's what I mean, Paul.
That's what we should.
Sorry, doing a wee interview, but not constantly.
No, exactly.
I don't want to hear about his plans. I just want to see what comes to his plans.
You know, because
there will be a wee puff piece kind of interview with Celtic TV and he'll say all the right things and that. Do you know what I mean? But see, that's the thing about it as well. They don't let the fans into these things because the fans will ask, see the kind of questions you're saying, Paul, like, well, what's your plans for this? What's your They just want these wee kind of puff pieces to be released in that. As what she says, these guys, you don't hear for these other guys at other clubs. So why do Celtic fans demand to hear for the CEO every week on what he's saying about this, what he's saying about that?
Do you know what too, John? I don't think Mark Law would have came to the club if his dad was still there.
I've said that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, there'd have been some clash between the two of them, I think, at work, and that goes into your personal life. I've worked with family in that, Paul.
Because Mark, imagine now, right? Because we've seen it under the fella Hamid with Brendan Rodgers when he was. Sorry, John, go on.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Right. So, like John, like Mark, if we say no, right, that if we've seen it on the previous managers, we've seen it on the left. What's his name? The fella that worked with Brendan Rodgers, Mark, that was there with us.
Chris David, was it Davis? Chris?
No, Hamid, the Skpe fella. The Hamid.
Hammond, aye.
Hammond.
Nick Hammond.
Nick Hammond, and the fella Douglas, Mark Douglas. If we say, right, Peter Law was still there and Mark Law came in, and if he recommended 3 players to Peter Law, but he really wanted the number two player, and if Peter Law then went away and said, no, he's too expensive, I don't know, no, I'd buy number 3, and he's the weakest of them, that's seriously going to be a rift between father and son at the club, and that's not a working relationship, Mark. Family members in clubs, do you know what I mean? I don't think Mark he would actually.
But that's also the kind of shit we don't need to know about.
Aye,
exactly. You know, moving on. Celtic fans 11:30 last night, Mark. In their and I, do you know what? I've always saw Celtic fans celebrate like, geez, we won the 9 in a row, but there was something special last night, seeing the fans come out because. We really didn't celebrate our 9th title, Mark, because of COVID, you know, and to see them come out in their thousands so late at night, Mark, kids, fireworks going off, and stuff. It was just magnificent to watch that on YouTube last night.
You know? Were you at it, John?
Of course, we were, John.
I don't know.
John, you there?
Don't know where John's went to.
Couldn't get a word in with us.
Mark tried to ring him again there.
I'll get him back on.
You know, but it was something special last night, wasn't this?
I was talking to a couple of boys who did the Coventry boys. They drove back through Glasgow last night, and they said they were so glad they did. They said it was something else.
You know, we even at night time, like with the fireworks and seeing the players come in, like Joe Hart was like a child, Mark, shouting at the Celtic fans, come on. It was just brilliant. Like,
you could tell he loved it. You could tell they were, even see, like, just after the game with that, Paul, when they were talking to the players on the park and things like that, you could tell what it meant to them. And I think a lot of them have been blown away with the Celtic support. I really
exactly. Definitely.
And I think that could maybe play a big part when it comes to when you're looking at signing for Celtic and that as well. Get like Carter, Vickers and Yo. I think that maybe play a big part in them. Do you know what I mean? Their decision, the way the fans have took to them. Is that you back, John?
Aye, mate, sorry about that. It's just this iPad, mate. Keeps playing up and then my sound keeps cutting off. The connection.
We were just saying, John, did you go to the celebrations last night or?
Would I make any celebrations?
Oh, did you go to them?
No, I was going to get.
You were going to.
2 minutes. I just stayed in and watched the game and something at work this morning where the boys in work were look at that and they showed us Joe Hart's Instagram story and I just seen it and I was like, man, I still there. I was just buzzing. I can't wait to Saturday, but
the talk on
my fireworks Saturday.
The talk on the Discord was, John, that you were going out to Ibrox to celebrate if you won the league.
I will be. I've got fireworks and all that there. I've got all my fireworks and that today. So
and you're going to
see CSA on Saturday morning then, John.
What, mate?
You going to the game?
Inside the CSA.
No, I'm not going to the game. I'm going to watch it in the house, have a few beers, and I'm just going to go down the Gallagher and watch it. I'm in two minds to watch it. My brother-in-law, I'm going to go and watch it. We're definitely going to the party bit after it Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. After good load of fireworks there.
We're head up meet Welshy to CSA after the game.
The CSA? I'll pop up. Is that where you're going to be?
Aye, but we've got to get to training 4:15 because we're out to fuck on Friday or Saturday.
Are you not going to like Merchant City after it, no?
Aye, they didn't there for a couple of hours. I didn't get the train.
Aye, I'll probably see you down there at some point, man. If you pass your number there, mate, I'll meet you.
I'll get you in touch with each other for Saturday, bud. Right.
JFP sorry, John, go on. JFP is saying on the live chat, Ange and the Japanese players and Joe Hart in Yata, they were blown away, Mark, by the celebrations last night of the Celtic fans. You know what I mean? Especially the Japanese lads, Mark. Because
I thought that to myself as well. What did the Japanese guys think about that last night?
You know, because Mark, you look like you come across as Japan as a country, Mark. They're so respectful. Do you get me? They didn't see celebrations like this before. Do you get me?
Even if they win the league, it's kind of a wee kind of round of applause and stuff like that.
One fella, Mark,
respectful, but to see stuff like that, he must have.
One fella, Mark, was what Joe Hart said, right? He said it's been a long time since he was in a situation like this, Mark. He says, but this one, he says, especially, he said, throughout the season, the Celtic fans have been right behind the club. They've been chanting, they've been cheering. He said they've been right, but he says last night's celebration compared to not one winning title with Man City, Mark. He said just the support alone, he said, and he says
because there was about 50,000 Mary.
Yeah. And he said that it'll stay with him. Like this is coming from a player, Mark, like you said there when I go on Welsh, he said, who's won it all down in England. Do you get me? And he was blown away by Celtic last night.
Do you know something? See, you play for Celtic and you give your all, you get the appreciation back. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
We that's all we ask for is give your all, and we all support you.
Now, even see if you're spot on, well, you see with players that maybe don't make your marks, as long as they're out there getting 110%.
That's all you ask for.
Aye, they'll get back to. I mean, look at like
Mark,
Taylor. Look at like Greg Taylor.
Exactly.
I mean, right, there's people who he's not that good at playing, but most of us were like that. He's out there, he's knocking his melt in, he's doing the best he can, and he's not the worst. He never was the worst. Do you know what I mean?
You've got every right to give an opinion on a player. Of course, we're fans. We pay the money to go watch the team, you know. And if we don't think they're the best or whatever it might be, but to tell you one thing, give me a player that gives 100%, who's not the best, and one who gives 50%, he thinks he's all right.
Exactly. You know, like Craig Taylor, especially, Mark, since January, Mark, the more he played under Ange, the more he got used to his system, and the more his fitness came as well. Like I was criticising Craig Taylor, Mark, because of how Radisson was getting so advanced forward. But now you're seeing Taylor actually doing what Radisson is doing. He's creating the space down the left-hand side for Yata or Maeda, so he's dragging an extra player away from them, so they have more. Like when our full backs pull forward, like it's nearly like an 8-man attack, Mark. You have Radisson, Yata, Kyogo, Maeda, you've Taylor, you've Roderick, you've Hayase. That's your attacking lineup. Do you get me? Do you know?
Either whether it's the forward, the wingers dropping back, Paul, or the full backs pushing up. I look at the time we're playing like a 5 and even 6-man midfield at times.
Yeah. You know.
Do you know what I love watching myself this year? The players are enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and it's like you know, it's we get all these celebrations, we do this, that, and the other, and that's like our wee way of saying thank you at the end of games and stuff.
When
like that.
someone scores a goal, the whole team are up there too, boy. Yeah. Even when we score a goal, Mark, and when we score a goal, right, the whole team is up to that player. Do you get me? congratulating. The whole team is connected. But not only them, well, gee, the backroom staff is connected. You seen there last night, at the end of the scenes last night, Gavin Strachan, Steve McManus, Stevie
Big Ange
Woods.
played a blinder. He's player of the month, bringing the whole backroom staff in for him.
Yeah. You know, like all of them hugged each other last night in the huddle.
See the
Do you know what I mean?
translator?
What's that?
You see the translator line in front of the board?
I've seen that. Just lying there. I mean, even that wee guy, he must win into it. He's just coming here to help out the Japanese boys settle into Scottish league.
And even he's involved, Mark.
I
Yeah.
think what he's thinking, what have I come into here? Do you know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
a totally different kind of world altogether.
Do you know what I'd say,
Do
though?
you not think as well,
Football,
though, that,
everything.
do you not think as well, though, with such a turnaround in players, which could be detrimental, because sometimes you've got a core of certain players being and stuff, but these have all come in just doing. There's obviously been no split in the dressing room. There's been no cliches. They've all just all come in together and got on.
You
know,
don't get the impression that.
But Mark, would you give?
Don't get the impression that the Japanese contingents are in one corner and James Forrest and Cal Egger know the old.
You don't get that impression at all, do
don't,
you?
no.
But that's down, and I give this, and I think this is one of the reasons he's got Player of the Year as well. This is down to Callum McGregor. Connecting.
Well, Ange doesn't even go in the dressing room before the game, does he?
Yeah, it's connected. It's connected to
I
Callum.
see that.
You even see that, Mark, when we're doing the celebrations. He's pushing these lads up, these Japanese players. He's pushing them up to the front. One fella who loves the celebrations is Kyogo.
He loves it.
Just see him there last night while she going up to the fans doing the thing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's he loves the end of the match celebrations. Kyogo. I mean, but it's all. This is all Cal McGregor, Mark, uniting the team together. Do you know what I mean? There's no split there.
He's done that, Joe. He really has.
Yeah. You know, really stepped up, Mark, didn't he, Cal McGregor?
We had Cal McGregor come down for a end of season dance a few years back. It was him, Ewan O'Connell and Darnell Fisher, and he was only like 17, 18 at the time. And it's, you know, just it's great to see him now. Do you know what I mean? He was just a little boy when he came down and we were talking about him. He was telling us about trying to break out of the first team. He might go out on loan and stuff like that. And then fast forward to now and you're like, gone yourself.
Zach, they actually showed it on Twitter there as well the other day when Scott McDonald was playing and Scott McDonald scored. And there was Cal McGregor's the ball boy for Celtic cheering to score the goal. Like where he's came from to his first season, John, as Celtic captain, winning 2 cups. You there, John?
Aye. It's as Welshy was saying, it's good on him. It's nice to see obviously where he's came from, whereas in noon, obviously winning his first title as captain that way, and obviously gets a couple of officers as well, just how highly speaks us as well. I think he'll be finishing his career as probably too. It's just good for him. I'm happy to see him doing it as well, Paul.
Mm-hmm. Now, compared to previous titles, you know what I mean, the 9 in the row and stuff like that, the quadruple trebles, the special moments in Celtic history. But for myself, Mark, there was something, I don't know, more personal or more emotional about winning the league this season to where we were at the start of the season, Mark. Like we were saying here on the podcast, Mark, we'd be happy for second. This is just a rebuild. We'd be happy for second. And if we got a cup, a League Cup or a Scottish Cup, we'd be happy with that. But this season to win it, Mark, like the turnaround since January, Mark, the new signings came in. I think January, Mark, the new signings, like what Welshy said there, the 5 subs. But the signings in January alone, they changed the course of the season for us. And to win the title by, it looks like it's going to be 4 points. Hopefully, it's been really special, Mark, this season. How's it compared to you to previous?
Well, if I stopped going to the games, Paul, I'd say this has probably been my favourite. I would put this probably above winning the 9 in a row one for Paul if I stopped going to games. But going to games, Paul, none for me will beat us stopping their 9 in a row that day.
Mm-hmm.
With under Wim Jansen.
Wim Jansen.
It would take a hell of a lot for Celtic to top that kind of feeling for me again. Do you know what I mean?
But it's up there, Mark. Like you could nearly relate to
Oh, I'm.
And
Oh,
you can relate to that,
that's
can't
what I'm
you?
saying, Paul.
Yeah.
If I stop going to games, which now about 10 years that I've not been going to games. This has been better for me. I preferred this one than I did for winning the 9 in a row one. This
Because
is
when
better than me, really, to be honest.
you've been celebrating titles like 10. Is it 10 titles in the last 11 years? Right? You've been to all of them practically. I say.
Do you know, so I'm a wee bit younger than Mark, so I mean, you obviously remembers a lot well than me.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know my first ever game was Love Street, 86. That was the first ever game I went to, and I was young then and never really bought into it and stuff like that. And then go through the years and stuff.
Aye,
But this title is actually the most satisfying one for me,
Mm-hmm.
because at the start of the season, obviously gone to the games all through 9 and we failed on 10. We came into an unknown this year. We never knew what was going to go, what was going to happen. It could have gone one way or the other. We just didn't know. The way the season started, and you're like, oh shite, here we go again. What's going to happen? And then we just, and it's not just the winning the title. It's the way we talked about it before. You look at the team; they're all playing for fun. They're all playing for us. They're all playing for each other, and it's just been what a season. It's been brilliant.
Mm-hmm. John, you came on the podcast with us, and where some of us weren't so confident, you yourself, John, were confident throughout the season. You said it after Celtic got back into it anyways, we're going to win the treble. We came close to doing the treble, but sadly we didn't, John. But we got 2 cups, and for Ange in the first season, like, what's this title to you, John? The previous one.
It's special. What was saying else about stopping the 10 in a row? Obviously, they're 10 in a row. So that's probably for me as well. So I'm for the Gangad, and we threw a big street party that day. And obviously, the day I walked out that morning, I walked out the front door, you just smelt it in the air. Obviously, about the full scheme, it was special. Everybody was out in Organath for Heed and celebrating. It was brilliant. But this one's up there as well, just because of where we were at the start of the season. Never had a team in place. Just the way everybody was slagging Ange as well, or the pundits, and just basically, I just get him at stinking. And just all the stuff they've been writing all season, basically, gives the league a new to November. And that.
They've done that with Wim Jansen as well. I mean, I can remember that. I mean,
yeah, they did. Yeah.
I can remember. I mean,
it was
I can remember I let it slip up on one of the podcast. I can mind the code. See that wee thing you used to get in the marmalade jar? You're not even allowed to say it now. Do you mind that?
Aye.
I mean, I can remember them comparing Wim Jansen to things like that, just because he's wild hairdo and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So they kind of look down on him, and is that, oh, what do they know? And you get back, John, you see it on Twitter that Alan Brazil, McCoy, Stone Talksport laughing and all that carry on and that.
You saw Chris Boyd, Mark, saying, I don't have the comp number, but it was something the lines that he's no 30 in Celtic. He's no saying what's going on.
Just leaving the new.
Yeah. You know what I
That's
mean?
the kind of thing that you love. That's how you love to ram it down their throat. That's how it look. It's sweeter than the low. I'm not meaning this maybe not come out right, but it's a bit sweeter than like Martin O'Neill winning his titles and things like that, because we were expecting to do that because we and Rodgers, we were expected to do it because with that kind of quality manager.
Look at the players we signed in O'Neill's day as well. They were on top-notch players.
We tired of them all. We tired of them all, really, wasn't it? Aye. And Ange,
see that I've got in this season as well is, see when you look, they've been a shite start, and we obviously
we lost 11 points, Welshy, in the first couple of games.
Do you know what? Just see winning the league this year as well. The confidence is going to take it in next season. And it also, it's, we're on a high at the minute. I mean, we could have gone. We've got so many games undefeated this season, and we've won the title. But we could have, at some point, dropped a couple of points along the way. Look at Ross County. Look at Dundee Utd dropping them points. They're big differences. We could have lost the league, but it wouldn't have taken away how much effort the boys have put in. But the attitude at the end of the season might have been different had we not won the league. But going forward at the next season, the place is buzzing.
Exactly. Like
that's see. I've said it on. I don't know if I said it earlier. For me, see how I dread the transfer windows coming up and that. You know that, but
you got Rich T back on tomorrow, haven't you?
Probably. We Richie, baby. But it's see the positivity between with the fans, the club, the team, and everything. You know, for me, this is up there. if no higher than the first when we were sitting waiting on Brendan Rodgers coming in. That's how I feel now. See when we knew Brendan Rodgers was coming in and that day get paraded outside Celtic Park and stuff like that. I've got that kind of feeling, and now I'm really, really looking forward to what the club's going to do between now and the beginning of the season.
Oh, definitely, Mark.
I think as well as we've actually got a pre-season coming up now. As a pre-season, there's no European qualifiers.
I'm just going to talk to you about that. Well, it's the first time I think it's nearly pushing on 12 years that Celtic actually don't have to play qualifying rounds, Mark, in July for the Champions League. So like this is the first time, Mark, all players are actually going to have a proper rest during the summer and just do a proper pre-season, which what I think is going to be hugely beneficial to Celtic next season.
But also, Paul, apart from improving the squad, the only signing that we really need to make to solidify the squad is Carter Vickers.
Yeah.
You know, if he does decide to go, it's one position that we need to replace. We're not looking at 5 or 6 different players. You know, improve the squad by all means, but we don't need to replace
exactly
5 or 6 players.
See, that's it.
Quality or quantity for us, isn't it, this season?
Exactly.
Really, that's the case.
I still think, Mark, though, we spoke to about Barry, Mark, and there 2 weeks ago when he was on us, the squad too, as well, I think, needs to be trimmed. Definitely, the squad needs to be trimmed.
There's the irony today when we signed McGregor. Forrest again, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but
player, I mean, like Ayeti, Soro, Barkas, I mean, Bolingoli. Do you know what I mean? They've got no future at all at the club, so we need to get rid of them. But for me, that's no you getting rid of squad players. That's you kind. I don't like to use the term, but you get rid of deadwood. The players that aren't going to very
We don't count these
but
players anywhere. They just take their wage.
they don't. For me, that doesn't count. There are none of the players leaving that need to be replaced.
even at that, Mark, like look at the benefits that's going to have on the Colts team next season, Mark. They're going to be playing in Europe now as well.
They get Champions League in.
Yeah, and look at the young players now, Mark. That might attract to the club. Young players who actually might want to be given this opportunity themselves.
There's a young keeper we've got in there, Paul.
What's that?
There's a young goalkeeper we've got in there.
Yeah, he'd be playing there, but I thought he'd be playing there. Do you know what I mean? You know,
who's that?
I don't know. I forget his name actually.
Need to Google that. We'll wake up. Yeah, I'm going to say this. I talk in my sleep, right?
Yeah.
We kind of have a wee laugh and a giggle about the way Paul says 33, isn't that? My wife woke me up saying that I was lying in my sleep with her niece, saying 33 saying 33 and giggling to myself.
What 33? What 33?
So,
you know, but even Mark, even like to what you're saying there, like not only is qualifying for the Champions League more beneficial to the first team, but look what it can actually do towards that youth level as well. Like, you know what I mean?
That's going to be some experience for the young players as well. They're playing against, and it's the next cream of Europe, isn't it? Really?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, like, you know what I mean? Definitely, like, and after this anyway, Mark.
But definitely a club that player wants to be involved with just now.
Yeah, I think that's what I always said that. Well, any young player now, and I think Dembele shouldn't. The reason I think Dembele shouldn't leave Celtic at this right moment, one, because the teams who were interested in Dembele a couple of years back, well, there's actually at the moment there's actually no one sniffing around Dembele because he really hasn't played any competitive game for Celtic or hasn't had a run. We had no reserve league, Mark, for years, so he wasn't even playing in a reserve league. Do you know what I mean?
Is he 19 now?
19 now, yeah.
Right, so you don't think as well, you talk about Dembele there, just so why is he not playing?
I think he get injured this season, Welshy.
He would have been playing this season. I think he would have been playing this season because of but it was just that thing in pre-season. But I think any young player now would be mad to leave Celtic because it's been proven under Ange. If you're good enough at youth level, he will bring you into the first team.
Do you know what, Paul? See the way we are this season just doing that. What was he talking about, the feel good factor in the club just now? See any player that wants to leave that? Cheerio.
Aye, let them go.
What's that, Mark?
it's Welshy's saying if they don't want to be here, just let them go. But Paul, I think Dembele maybe got a wee bit of future here, kind of thing. Vader, just says Paul a few years ago. See if he was leaving Celtic when he was 17, there was big teams sniffing about him that would have gave him.
Exactly, Mark.
Gave him
And
What do you think?
40
You might be
grand
thinking
a
about
week.
Forest signing though.
And I was reading something there, Mark, the other day about him actually, and a lot of people are saying, like, do you know when the young lad Ben Doak was inside the first team, Mark, and then Ange took him away. When he made the decision, Ange took him away, vanished him. He took him out because he didn't want it. He didn't want to be there, Mark. And if a player doesn't want to be there, he won't put his time into you, right? And
well, that contradicts what he came out and said about Edward and that at the start of the season, Paul.
Well, I actually read about that, Mark, and he said he had no choice. He actually
had to use them, didn't he?
He actually had no choice, Mark. Do you know what I mean? To use Edward and Christie that time. He had, and he said he would prefer not to, because they told him when he came in, oh, you're Edward and Christie told him.
So basically, Ange just changes his opinion to suit.
Yeah, well, likely,
I suppose. No, that's right. But really, that's what he's done there, isn't it, really?
But he spoke to Dembele, and he told them, like a lot of people said that because Dembele, Mark, was playing in the Cords team for the last couple of weeks, that he's made his decision up that he's leaving. But if you're actually reading up, he told him that Ange spoke to him, and he said he just wants him to get his fitness up in the Cords League. He said there's too much is happening now in the first team, that his fitness levels aren't to where they should be for the first team. And
there's one thing for sure, Ange's in charge.
Exactly.
You know, when you look back at Lennon, he's a yes man. But Ange's in charge.
But I'm trying to say there's a reason for every Ange's decision. Ange said build up the fitness in the Cords team and then come back to pre-season, then with the first team. So it'll be a clean slate, you get me? You know?
John said earlier on,
if doesn't break through at the start of next season, then what happens with him?
Oh, I think so. Like, it's up to if Dembele does.
Because the reason why I asked what age he was, look at Abada.
We've spoken about that before, Brian. See the difference. Do you know what I mean? The difference between the two kind of impacts in the team, but
yeah, but maybe
the injury to Dembele kind of
what? But maybe, Mark, right? You really can't compare it to Abada because Abada was playing in a different league. Do you get me, Mark?
But that's you just compare
the same age in the progression.
Aye, yes, a spot on comparison. We've spoken about that before.
Mm-hmm. You know,
but to be fair, you actually forget how young Abada actually is.
Oh, Abada's outstanding.
19 into Abada, I think. He's only 19 as well.
He only turned 19, yeah. Only turned 19. You know, I just think...
You look at the circumstances as well. Dembele's been there his whole life. Abada's come in from nowhere.
Yeah, but if you look at it then, Welshy, then, like, who Dembele really has been screwed around throughout his time at Celtic by Rodgers and Lennon. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not being trying to be critical. I'm just trying to be...
You know,
get a wee bit here as well. But, I mean, forget the fact that Dembele's getting the rightful place to actually make it into the team.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, it's up to Dembele if he does this to do that. And there's only one player, like you said, Reggie, who could do that is Dembele.
I think he has been unlucky, I think. I really do, because I know for a fact Lennon promised him game time in his last season. But as I've said it before, I can 1,000,000% understand why Lennon didn't put him into the team. Because you throw a young guy in, that kind of hype about him, when the team's struggling, the onus for him, if it goes wrong, it's a young guy that's going to take your pelters. So I can understand that for Lennon. And as I said, I think he was unlucky getting injured this season, or he wanted more game time. But it's the same thing we were saying before, Paul. He's a year to go in his deal, so it's twist and turn. Do we offer him a 2-year extension like we've done with Forest just to see how things go? Do we offer him a long-term deal? Do we say, right, we'll see how things start?
Exactly, Mark.
We're not going to sell you because we're not going to get money.
We actually, Mark, right? We actually don't know how good Dembele is because all we've saw really over the years is these real little clips on YouTube since we were promoting as a 16-year-old with all his skill and stuff like that.
Okay, it's wrong, Paul. We've had nothing worse for him to come in and blow us away.
Yeah, exactly. He could do, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I actually would like him, Mark, to maybe sign a short 1-year deal, Mark, next season, see how it goes.
I mean,
Do you know what I mean?
like this season, if he was, I mean, I never realised he was injured so much. But the 5 sub rule and the feel good factor and the way we're playing and everything else, you're right, Mark. It'd be perfect for him to come into 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But that's the way Mark, that's what you said for all season. If we're ahead, bring in these, if the 5 sub rule, Mark, is still there, bring in these young players for the last 10, 15 minutes of a game.
I mean, you're right. Is it eight subs you're allowed on the bench, Paul, and you're allowed to make 5 or something like that. So there's enough space on your bench to have a couple of young players. And if you're
the homegrown rule's still there as well.
I think it is. Aye.
What's that, Mark? Sorry.
Homegrown rule.
But that's not there anymore, though, is this?
I'm not sure. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, no. I remember Barry said that was. Remember Barry said that was gone there, Mark. The other day, remember I questioned it. Yeah, Barry said that's actually gone. No, but that was an actually good rule, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
You still need it in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You need it for the Champions League and that, the homegrown rule thing and that. But what I'm saying is, Paul, if you're allowed, I can't mind, you're allowed 7 or 8 subs or something, you're allowed to make 5 during the game. So if you have enough subs like your game changing players, you know what I mean? Your usual, like if Turnbull's starting and wee Matt O'Reilly's on the bench or kind of thing, but have two young players sitting there and see if you're 3-4-0 up, stick them on and just give them game time in the first team. Because if you're sitting there at 3-4-0 up, your team's dominating the game, so the players are getting more of the ball, they've got a wee bit more confidence to try stuff and things like that, and that's the way that. Well, I'm not a football manager, but that's the way it should be, and just build them up. 10 minutes here, quarter an hour there, and then the next time we're maybe playing a team at a lower level, they're starting, and that gets them up to the next level.
It's all experience, man.
Aye, that's what it comes to.
Even like you see there on the Champions League games there, Mark, with Europe, that you asked me why do we have 2 goalkeepers, and remember that it's part of, and reason Toby was in there because Ange wanted to give him just the first team experience around Europe, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
I've been about the squad,
exactly.
the top level, and feeling what it feels like to go to all these fancy season that. That's all part of a young player's education, Paul.
For such, I think we saw Ange. I think Ange for me has been the first manager, Mark, who's really given back to the media what they give to him. Like some of his one-liners to him has just been outstanding. I think if someone actually did a video of Ange's one-liners, they'll get 1 million hits, I'd say. But yesterday after the game, it was the first time I actually saw a kind of an emotional Ange after the Celtic game yesterday, Mark, going around to the Celtic fans and just Cheney's.
When I saw him getting interviewed on Skpe, Paul, I said on live chat, he was getting a bit emotional. I think he was kind of choking his tears a wee bit.
He said.
I think even he was a bit overwhelmed with it all as well, Paul.
He said, for me, it's been a lifelong dream of me to manage a world famous club and trying to make the impact as it is. I've spot on. I've achieved this now. But tonight, to witness this, Welshy, he said, is something special. Like, I think Ange himself too. Like, we were going on about the players.
We were in Budapest. We couldn't get tickets for the game, so big groupies went to the hotel. We took fireworks and everything else. Big Ange came out of the hotel, and he was about 5 yards away from me, and he just gave me a fist pump. And you know something? I felt like a 5-year-old. I was like, no, Giddy was like, go yourself.
No, he is though. Like to see him Mark throughout the season. Like you get the odd celebration now and then out of him, Mark, or he might turn onto the. But it was the first time I saw him. Like
kind of real raw emotion, his real feelings.
He's human at the end of the day, Mark. Do you know what I mean? But I think
he deals with the press brilliant. You can't fault for that, and it's all these wee cute answers, and even he flings in the wee mate to kind of. Do you know what I mean? It's like you saying here, mate, you're a bit of a dick. You want to shut your mouth. Do you know what I mean? But the wee mate makes it acceptable, kind of thing. Like I say with you, Paul. Do you know what I mean? But even that, the way he deals with the press, I mean, I love the guy, honestly. I just think...
See, you're growing up and you hear all the stories about Jock Stein and all the things he would say, get there and entertain and look for the fans and this, that and the other. He's the first manager in my lifetime who his interviews are all based on date for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not about result driven in terms of what he talks about in the press and stuff. It's good to put a show for them boys up there watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to listen to and it's great to see. And his humility is fantastic.
See if that was Neil Lennon. It's all about Neil Lennon. And
that's what I mean. It's completely
Ange's always putting it back on the players. He's winning the Manager of the Month awards, and he's
brought in all the different coaches.
The coaches, because they're all part of the kind of process for him, and that.
You can imagine behind closed doors if a player's had a nightmare. You know, if they've no gave their all and stuff, that behind closed doors he'd be written them saying, "Them boys are paying to come and see you. You need to do this. You need to do that."
Mm-hmm.
You know that, and that would
everything was about the fans, Welshy. You know what I mean? I think that's why the Celtic fans have actually taken to him into Mark.
Well, he came out after the Derby game and said, "What was it? The guys came in here with probably all kind of problems in their lives, and we just want to make them forget them for the next minutes." Do you mean that? Aye. And that's what fibber for guys like us is. No, I mean, we're
when he mentioned about the
big snobby Chelsea fans that are paying through just to see how we were there, kind of thing. It means something for us to be there. Do you know what I mean?
I remember
the European Cup was brilliant as well.
Mm-hmm. John, I remember him saying about the Celtic fans like that. These Celtic fans, they're not just normal Celtic football fans. These are fans who have been passed down the love for the club through generation like we all have. Mark, Welshy, your dad, Mark, your dad. You know, it went on, and he really bought into the Celtic family, didn't he? He knew what the club meant to the fans. Yeah.
Paul, he's either done something studying in his flight out, or he's knew all about Celtic before he came here.
But he
said when he was in isolation, right? When he first got the job and he had to isolate down in London, he said he was already planning the season ahead, down in his isolation, what he wanted Celtic to do. Like he knew, like I know every manager, Mark, has a plan and stuff like that, but this is a manager who had very little time, John, to plan anything, and he's just connected the whole club, between fans connecting with the club. Like you compared to last night, the Celtic fans out cheering the club like that, compared to last February when we had barriers put up to block out the Celtic fans. John, do you get me?
100%. I think when he came out, he says as well, in his first interviews, he says it's a club with real substance and real soul. It's also my whole time I supporting Celtic, this manager I've had I've had an emotional connection with. I just love him, and obviously I just hope he stays for as long as possible. I hope he loves the club that much. It's just one of the ones I'm here until you don't want me anymore.
Then, do you, John?
What? No. Don't remember Louis Carey.
No blame. Better.
I can't remember him. I'm only my early 30s. I don't remember. Martin O'Neill, that was my kind of area. I kind of started. That's about 12, 13. Martin O'Neill came.
You supported Celtic when you were a wee boy and you went to all these games and that. And Welshy touched.
I don't understand what it means until you get older.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. See, when was it? 98. We stopped doing 10 in a row. I was 24. And that to me is just one of the best times ever in my life. Do you get what I mean? But I was 24-year-old. I'm 48 now, so it's like that age that I was, I've spent that amount of time again. Do you know what I mean? For that era.
Because I thought you were celebrating your 50th there by a couple of weeks back. Sorry about that, boy.
Do you know what's crazy? We've sort of got away from this Celtic man thing as well. You don't have to be a Celtic man to be a Celtic man. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's a great point as well, Brian, when you think about it.
What's that? Sorry, Mac, I couldn't hear him.
You're a wee bit fuzzy, I know, Brian. Try and turn your mic volume up if you can. He says,
I've got all my earphones in, I'm on the phone itself.
Well, that's a bit better. But what you said, Paul, is you don't need to be born a Celtic man to be a Celtic man. I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
they're the, oh, Neil Lennon, this, Neil Lennon, that, and then a guy from the other side of the world's come in and look at the way we're talking about him.
You said before about Wim Jansen as well. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Like, I remember looking back, Mark, to one of his first interviews, and he was asked, like, for so much little experience of managing in Europe, how do you think you'll be able to handle it? And I remember Ange said, mate, they're not footballers, mate, they're not playing football differently. I'm not from the moon. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know, it was little. What?
If you read his interviews, he talks a lot about his family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When he comes to Celtic, he goes on about, obviously, Australia's got the immigrant community came through Greece, and he would talk about the Greek community would be that club and the Croatian community with that club. So he gets that side of what Celtic's all about when he comes in.
And especially Welshy as well, like how he speaks about his dad. Do you know what I mean? How he said he won a game, and he said his dad taught him that it wasn't entertaining, and he said that's how then he wanted to play football, and he still, even to this day, Mark, even throughout interviews with Celtic and stuff like that, you could really see, Mark, that he's a really down-to-earth man, like how he talks about his family. Like he was asked the other day, Mark, about are you going to watch the Rangers match in the semi-final? He goes, well, no, that's a day for me to go to the pitches with my family. Do you know what I mean? He's just down to earth, Mark. Like, you know what I mean?
Did you hear him talking about when his pals came in for the semi-final and he went out for dinner with him?
No, go on.
You see, his pals came over to Australia to watch the semi against the Huns. And because we got beat, he says, we were all planning for this, going this big meal and stuff. He says, I never went. He said, but because of my close friends, they understood that. I never went. It hit him.
Jesus, man. You know, but he really has, like, he's...
And see the way you kind of, this is maybe a big stretch, I see people talking about Jockstein and that, but see the way you kind of carries yourself, like, as a man in that, it's like, it is a bit like guys like Tommy Burns and people like that, isn't it? He's very humble. He's no, what I'm saying, he's compare it to Neil Lennon with the, I'm here, look, it's all about Neil Lennon. Ange, it's never about Ange, you get what I mean? It's always the players, it's always the fans, it's always this.
He stood up too, Mark, when we lost the first derby, and he put Kyogo out on the left, and he come up and he took the blame that he realised that he made a mistake in putting Kyogo out on the left wing. You know what I mean? Even that, man, if that was Lennon would blame Kyogo. You get me?
It would be Kyogo that didn't perform right.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
No, but in all fairness, everyone in that game never really knew Kyogo at the time, and Edward was still there.
Yeah.
So you're right. He knew himself what he should have.
He knew himself like that. He shouldn't have done that. Like exactly, Welch. You know what I mean?
But what would have happened if he'd have started Kyogo through the middle and dropped Edward? We'd have gone mental at the time.
Yeah.
Unless we won.
Well, that's it.
But I mean, it held his on. Said he'd made the wrong choice. No,
but Mark, not just him, Mark, with the players and fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you look at last season with the likes of John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan. Like they were sitting at, I know it was COVID and stuff like that, but
they still at Celtic. You never know.
They weren't even making decisions together, Mark. You know what I mean? Everything is involved with Strachan doing what he said to do on before the players come on, Mark.
Brian said, do we see now, Paul, this season? You wouldn't know John Kennedy and Strachan were still there.
No,
nobody talks about them anymore.
No.
Because we say, have you noticed who's telling the players what they're doing coming on to the park and things like that?
Fair juice to Gavin Strachan last night. He held on to that laptop even during celebrations.
They won. It's the transfer lists on that.
it just goes back to reinforce the fairness of last season.
The paper.
It wasn't the end them boys. The fairness were obvious last season, but it wasn't Strachan and it wasn't Kennedy, but collectively they all took stick for it.
Exactly.
But what I will say is, and rightly so, collectively they're all getting credit this season. Do you know what I mean?
And that's it, and that's, John, like, going to what Marcus said there, like, when he won the manager of the month, he was bringing in all the coaches in the pictures to celebrate him. Like, he knew that it just wasn't down to him. It's the backroom staff as well that he appreciated, who helped him at Celtic. You know, that's why you fall in love with the guy nearly every single day we see him. You know,
100%. Every time he was winning it, he was getting like different coaching staff into the picture at different times he won it. Suarez the manager in months. I think he won it 5 times this year, didn't he? I don't think a manager's ever done that before in Scotland. I think Mace was 4, and he done 4. He done 4 in a row as well, just after January. So that's an quadruple we've got as well.
But Mark, it was well deserved. Ange, when manager of the year, won it, well deserved. Like, you know what I mean? They like, we're talking about the stuff there, like what he had to put up with from the media, from ex-players, from ex-rival fans and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? And turn around the whole season like the way he did. Like, you know what I mean? It's just unbelievable, Mark, isn't it?
If Seb Bastards win next week, do you think he'll get player of the month, manager of the month this month?
Don't know, because he got knocked out of the
you know what I mean?
Cup, yeah.
I mean, last season they've always had an excuse to get to other people, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. You know, well,
I don't think European stuff counts.
No, they don't come into it. They can't. No,
Scotland, isn't it?
It's just Scotland, exactly, John.
Yeah, we just spoke about that there, Mark. When Barry was on with us, that if Rangers did, and hopefully they don't, but Giovanni Van Bronckhorst can't be considered Scottish Premier League manager of the month. Do you know what I mean? Just speaking of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Mark,
he's only focused this year to win the Europe.
Yeah, I saw that the day, Brian. What was that? Did you see that, Paul?
What's that?
Van Bronckhorst said that his focus this season had been to win the Europa League.
I doubt that, Mark. He only came out and said that, Mark, after the league was lost.
That's what he came out and said today.
You know, I saw that.
He's been swallowing GOB sweeties.
That wee DUP guys had him in the room with the balaclava and the light in the face for 10 hours to say.
Like, you go back there, like, and like, you had to laugh at Kevin last night, John, on Twitter. I don't know if you have Twitter, but you saw him, like, he was dragging up every single post.
Twitter was a nightmare last night, because on my timeline, every 20 tweets was Kev.
Yeah.
Kev's back on Twitter.
Dragging up every single tweet from ex-Rangers fans saying, I thought you said the league doesn't matter. But what about this tweet you put out to start the season?
Did you hear him before he put a tweet out, before he went, I think I'm going to have to stop going through my bookmarks?
See that Simon Jordan and TalkSport?
Are you on Twitter?
No, I don't go on it, but I can go on it. I go on the Celtic Twitters and stuff like that, like Celtic-minded people and that, because it's not private, so I can go on them and I view the videos and that, the posts and stuff like that.
Just set up a daft account and follow us. Honestly, you don't need. I don't put up much. I don't talk on it much, but see guys like Welshy, Kev 83, just he'll argue with anybody on it.
Oh, boy, he's brilliant. He's so funny.
I don't do social media, mate. I just keep it off it.
But you want to follow Paul as well. You want to see the birds he looks at. Follow Paul. The amount of birds he's got in his timeline.
Aye, Paul's a bit of a smoothie on the Twitter and that. He's got all the birds following him and that.
All his likes are birds.
See, talking about obviously all the people saying stuff about Ange, you see what Simon Jordan says in TalkSport. Obviously all the pundits, all the people in the media that all slated them, they just came in, they should be all named and shamed and all called out, and a video should be made it, or the stuff they says and that. Basically, I just kind of pull them out for it as well.
That Simon Jordan get that kind of gig.
Have you ever listened to him?
That's just like we're talking about the clips you see on Twitter and things like that. I've never listened to programmes.
I rarely listen to TalkSport, but last couple of weeks coming down the road, I've listened to it a couple of times when he's been on. He's one of the guys who just loves to sound his own voice, if you know what I mean. But he's there to make a point, because he's what I like about some of the stuff he says is, you know, like with Crystal Palace, he put all his money in to stop them dying. You know, he lost a fortune and
£30 million, I think, wasn't it?
Because it was his club and everything else. And he talks about all these. He was on the other day there talking about who's that Wilder for Sheffield United, and he ripped the back out of him because he was on about going to Burnley, you know, because he'd been given a contract at Middlesbrough. But he was talking about going to another club, and he was just giving him absolute pelters. He doesn't care, just says what he wants.
See, I just see daft thing with clips of him on Twitter and think he's a pure idiot. You know what I mean? I didn't know he was just kind of common sense kind of guy.
He's one of them that comes on because for what I've seen of him, he'll say it how it is.
He's spot on, he does, isn't he? It's quite controversial, isn't he? He'll just come out and tells a lot of pundits as well.
But he thinks he's not following any agenda or anything like that.
No, that just try and argue with him, try and give the opposite opinion. He'll just put him in his place.
So, moving on to Sunday, Celtic will officially lift the league title after the Motherwell. Saturday. After the game at Motherwell at Celtic Park, kickoffs at 12:15. Is it kickoff at 12:30? Is it?
12:15.
15 minutes, aye.
12:50. Did you know what? The times in football are actually getting weird. Like, why was the kickoff last night 7:30, not 8:15, like a normal midnight game?
Do you know something, boys? And that's one of the things I'll say is...
Well, she's white, can't to bed.
But you know something, I put some rules into going to the games and stuff like that. But see the boys that pick me up, the Coventry boys, different class. And they go to every game, Ross County, Aberdeen, abroad, everything. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, we leave. Absolutely.
There is.
Different class.
I mean, you know, like coming up for England, the Oilers of the day, and the guys coming off the island and things like that. You've got
but Mark, it's like
to them.
Like Mark, we spoke numerous of times, like how not just Scottish football, but every football. No, Mark, like, you know what I mean. Like, the broadcasting companies don't care about the fans.
No,
do you know what I mean? They don't care about them. Like, you know.
Yeah, it is though, Paul. I like the early kickoffs. It's easy.
I'd be too. I'd be too. I. Do you know what? I actually prefer the early kickoffs as well.
I'm always panicking about getting home.
See, if I was still going to games, I'd have preferred like 12:30 kickoffs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying having to go up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But even though
see when you get to 7 o'clock in the motorway and you're thinking, see if I don't make that train at 9:30, I'm done.
But Welshy, there was something special this year though, having the derby at midweek, Mark, on a Wednesday under the floodlights at Celtic Park. That was special. Those kind of games, Mark, are special under the floodlights. I just think, I don't know.
I mean, that was quite a normal occurrence, Paul.
Yeah.
I didn't realise
it's normal.
It stopped over Neil Lennon and Ali McCoy's that time, Mark, didn't it?
Before football, it was quite a normal thing.
Yeah.
The last one was Joe Ledley, and I was annoyed because I was in the toilet just before half time, and Joe Ledley scored and I heard the roar and I missed the goal, and I never realised it was 10 years.
10 years.
10 years between them.
Jesus, man, that's a long time now. Right?
Joe Ledley played for us.
Aye.
Jesus, man. That's a long time.
The last time we played each other midweek in the league was 10 years ago.
Wow. Like, you never... Like, that just shows there now, like, how fast time is actually moving. Do you get me? You know?
See, the thing about it, she knew that we're getting into this argument about letting fans in and that. This could be a time... I mean, Paul, as you say, that games under the floodlights late at night, it's different class. This could be a time that maybe the Scottish game could explore managing them better. Do you get what I mean?
I'm here 2,500 next year.
What?
2,500 next season.
Is that what it's going to be?
That's what I'm hearing, because that's the European rules, isn't it?
Just
for what?
Saying it, innit?
For what? Yeah. Do you know what, Mark? After what we saw the last time, with them destroying Celtic Park again, I wouldn't bother them having them in there. Do you know that?
No, I've.
But I think Mark,
10,000 of them in.
But is there a legal right, Welshy, that you have to have away fans in your stadium? Is there?
There is rules, Paul.
Yeah.
See, you'd have 10,000 of them in, right? I've said to Paul, right? I agreed with you, right? And I've said to
Paul, full allocation or nothing. Yeah.
See now, Welshy, right? I'm listening to you, but I've listened to JFP. JFP doesn't want them back into Celtic Park. And you go to the game, so you're entitled to your opinion. JFP goes to games, he's entitled to his opinion more than I am about it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I miss? I mean, I'm not talking about the games at Celtic Park and stuff like that, because it was actually in that game in February when there was none of them there. It was brilliant. The atmosphere was different class. But you know something? One of my favourite memories ever was pumping them 5-1 at Ibrox. There was 7,000 years there, and it was absolutely different class. I miss that.
It does, like, it's like if we want to, like, if the Scottish have had any ambition to make the SPL big and broadcast it to more countries like that, because it's going to be next, Mark, it's going to be broadcasted on SPAN over in America.
But that means nothing about the fans, Paul. They to be fair, the away fans actually plays into their hands because it's their people that buy the subscriptions.
You know, what's your thoughts on it, John? The situation with the fans. I don't want to dwell on this much now. You know, they want to be on a downer for the whole night, like, you know.
I'm not like on a day away, yes. So obviously, once we beat them, obviously 3-0 at Parkhead, it's been good to have a few thousand a minute just to rub it right in our faces in that stadium. But actually, like the IFP was saying, obviously it was brilliant having none of them there as well, so it's his opinion. But it doesn't really bother me either or no, but it's just the results element bother me.
I just think it, Mark. I just think it just takes the buzz, Welshy, away from it, don't it? It just takes the buzz away from it, now having a proper allocation at both stadiums, like, you know what I mean?
So, when you watch Celtic home away, you want to go to the games and stuff like that. That's one of the games you always look forward to. And it's not. I'm not having the conversation about them coming to us. I'm talking about us going to them.
If we go to them, we want the full free broom, know what I mean? But we're not letting them back in our stadium.
That'll do.
So celebrations, lads. Welshy's travelling up to the game. Welshy, it's going to be special for. Like I just expect it's going to solve special said, but for Cal McGregor to lift the cup, as he said, like you said, you saw him as this 17-year-old at some function you went to. For him now, like a Celtic true and true, to be lifting the cup.
Definitely, but you know something, it's collectively the team's been something else. You know, you could argue the player of the year, two different players, 2 different points. Exactly.
We'll try and say that for Sunday night, Paul. We'll get everybody to kind of nominate.
No, that's I have that.
You have Sunday, Welshy.
See how it goes. I'm at the game Saturday. See what kind of mood she's in.
No bother.
You know, like.
Oh, well, I'll be right, probably.
We'll just rename this Celtic JKTV. IFP's coming on the Paul from Sunday anyway.
You put on something for us there on Discord there, right? Since the millennium, right, Celtic have won 36 trophies, 16 league titles, 5 trebles, 5 doubles, an invincible treble, and a quadruple. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is no matter what club you are, Celtic, anyone, it's amazing, man.
Paul, see if it's Bayern Munich, Real Madrid's, well, it's a bit Real Madrid and Barcelona, that's a bit maybe like your kind of thing, but if you're that kind of big club, if you're holding that kind of trophies in 22 years, Paul, that's unbelievable.
Did you see the Sky Sports banner before? You know, the Sky Sports News with the wee yellow thing underneath. And they announced Scott Brown as manager of Fleetwood, and it came up 10 years as Celtic captain, 23 trophies.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's
James Forrest,
phenomenal.
He's 20th on Saturday. James Forrest is going to overtake him. James Forrest is getting his 20th trophies as Celtic player.
Even at him, Mark. Look.
That's his 4th. James Forrest is the 4th most decorated Celtic player.
Look, buddy, you could even look, Mark, at players leaving Celtic, Mark. Like, look how many trophies. I don't have a cup now, but I get.
Put that on the forum, Paul. How many for Celtic actually? They're all going to make a hell of a lot more money, right? But even you get back to your Decanos, Sheffield Wednesday and West Ham, Pierre Van Hooijdonk, Nottingham Forest. There was you could say Van Dijk, obviously. You could put Tierney probably maybe with Arsenal in future. He will go to bigger and better even than Arsenal, I think. When Yama played in a Champions League final, but then you're struggling. Whoever gets on to bigger and better things in Celtic when it comes to progressing your career.
Just go back to Joe Ledley we were talking about before. He tweeted not so long ago that his biggest regret was leaving Celtic.
Look at Gary.
Larson, I discounted Larson because he was older and kind of thing and get into that.
Look at Gary Hooper, Mark.
Gary Hooper left Celtic because he thought he had a sniff in the England squad.
Yeah, look at Gary Hooper. Like there's a lot of one prime example, Mark, of that is, and he could be sold in the summer, is Edward. I said that to you,
You
Matt.
see, you look as well at the Japanese boys we've just signed. There's always a thing about them boys to go away and succeed in Europe, isn't there? But I don't see them as the type of people that want to go and chase the money in England or anywhere else. As long as they're successful, they're happy.
I think
I think they're part of Ange's project. They're here,
Yeah, Mark,
here with Ange. As long as Ange's
that's what I
here,
said, Mark. I said
if they feel wanted and they're successful and they're doing well,
they're too loyal. They'd be too loyal to Ange, Mark, for giving him the opportunity.
unless it was a pure absolute kind of life changing move to a really top team. I don't see any of them that he's been turned with just offer a better wage after the likes of Southampton or
And
something like that.
to be fair, though, see if they come for nothing and give a couple of years and they've done their thing, I've got no objection to them moving on. I don't want them to go, but
no, you don't grudge. I don't grudge any Celtic player moving on to try and get better. So like even Tierney, a lot of Celtic fans get, oh, Tierney done it. Fair play to him, because if Neil Lennon had still been manager at Celtic, Tierney wouldn't have been in the first team.
No, he definitely wouldn't.
When he was a young lad, same with Callum McGregor. So why should Kieran Tierney have stayed at Celtic when Neil Lennon was taking over as manager?
And Mark,
let's not talk about him this time.
Still hurting her at Welshy.
Just speaking of the Japanese, Mark, that come Sunday when it finishes, the league finishes, Maeda's going to sign on the dotted line, and he be a permanent Celtic player. You know, I found
a strange one as well, right enough, isn't it?
No, but I explained it on.
Did, Paul, that was quite well explained. To be fair, I never realised that.
And what it was, the live chat was, it's actually quite common in Japan to put down this clause of obligation to buy instead of option to buy, and the reason is because
choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it gives the player himself a chance to see.
It'd be like you or Welsh that getting offered a job in America or something like that. Don't know if the wife fancies it. And it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll get a bash, but I need a kind of.
So when he came to America,
6 months time.
When he came in January, he was here on his own and stuff like that. But his wife actually then came over in early March with their young kids, and they're in a house now. He was at the start. He was in a hotel, but he's actually in a house now. And they want to see could they settle as a family. And actually, she actually settled. And the next week, then he came out Denmark and said that he was signing permanently. Then at the end of the season. So, but the reason he did it, Mark, is because he actually played in Portugal when he was younger, at 19 years of age.
Now that was one of the things.
Look at Gucci. He's done this before, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. It's quite common. It's actually supposed to be a very common deal over in Japan when Japanese players move abroad or Chinese players or all from like those Asian countries. Well, that clause is put into their contracts, obligation to buy, but it's mostly down to the player then to find decisions down to the player if the player can actually settle. Like everything's agreed, Mark. Do you get me? All his wages agreed.
See, when you say that, it's quite common. That's probably down to the way, like what we said earlier about the way Japanese people approach their life and approach their work and things like that.
As fans, we don't appreciate people's culture and family life.
That's what I'm trying. They're obviously thinking, well,
so it's obviously
I'll go and kick a ball anywhere that's got to give me 20 grand a week, but
exactly.
I think kids make me happy. I'll get up and come back to Japan for 3 or 4 grand a week. It's not to do with. I said that makes a lot.
My wife would be happy. She would come in though.
But Mark, it was quite happy.
You blame her.
Like Mark, we were kind of lucky too, Mark, that we have.
Wifey's Welsh Welshy's wife's got to join the Korean one, the wee angry guy, just to bomb his wee hut.
Oh Jesus!
We get angry at him.
Mrs. Kim Jong Un just to get that hut at the weekend.
Told her off since day one. She's asked me off Celtic Rangers.
Paul's sleeping in that mind in his weekend door here. That's Paul's bed that night.
Oh Jesus Christ! If I fucking
in the hut,
if I wake up,
what happens? What happens in the hut stays in the hut.
Nice
You
and
know-
warm, my hut.
You know, like if last night's celebrations, Mark, were mind blown by players last night, I can just imagine Sunday for them when the whole town practically comes out, or the whole Scotland, because like as Welshy said, like there's going to be fans travelling up from England just to see Celtic winning the league. You know.
Do you know something through the season though? These boys are getting used to this now. I would like to think
Mm-hmm.
they're appreciated. The boys turn up in 1,000 to the team bus, the hotels, everything, and they're not naive either. They must all be on social media. There's some of the stuff they must see, and it's so positive.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, the players, aye, that is into the players have all got these kind of guys that run accounts for them and they see everything.
Have you seen Juranovic right on Instagram?
Listen, the
He's
fireball.
posted, I'm not on Instagram, but it's on Twitter. He's driving his motor, and he's got Fireball playing, and on the side over there's comments that come up, and half of it's Celtic players, Carter Vickers and Matt O'Reilly arguing it, gone yourself and stuff like that. But he's playing Fireball. He's driving his motor. You don't do that if you're not happy or confident.
Fireball.
Remember I told you that Pitbull song, Mark. That Pitbull song.
Fuck's sake, Paul. That's Mark. That's his song.
Glitterball. Is that not a bird?
Is yours Juranovic in it? Fireball.
Aye, I've totally lost you. I've not got a clue.
Remember, I explained
That-
to you about the. Remember, I said it to you. I sent it to you, Mark. The Pitbull song.
I don't probably. I listened to it probably, but I'm still thinking that fire. The glitterball. No glitter. What is it? The last thing was swinging in.
And there you are telling me you didn't see the fucking Lisbon Lions.
I didn't see that. No, I'm not having that, man. You've got me mixed up with that now. You know what I'm talking about? The last in the big glitter bus swinging onto a stage. It's Lady Gaga. No.
Oh, it's Miley Cyrus, Wrecking Ball.
Oh, the wife said right.
Oh my God.
So it's not that song then, no?
No. I'd be quite worried. No, if Juranovic just listened to Miley Cyrus, Wrecking Ball, Mark, driving down.
Yeah, no.
Jesus Christ.
If Lou Reed didn't sing it, I'm not interested.
John, what's your plans to celebrate Sunday? Are you going to go to the town and watch them travelling?
I'll not bet the game, but I'll be watching it. I'm going to go to the stadium after the game finishes, and going to go to the party at Merchant City. I'll probably spend the rest of the night in the tunnel, probably in somewhere around the bars or Gracies or something. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm buzzing for it. I was looking forward to it all week. It's just after I seen all the videos not today for last night. I was like, I can't wait to Saturday now. It's just obviously that mob as well. Try to say they've took a shine off it. No, I'll tell you something. They've not took a shine off nothing. They will hear us on Saturday, man. They'll be making sure it.
I heard as well, Mark, that Maida's going to be running in front of the bus after the game.
Towing it, like the strongest man up the Celtic white grannies.
You know, like for a player of him, Mark, right? Maida, like Mark, you said long ago that he's not a striker.
There you go, Paul. Check. Sorry, Mark. Check the Discord.
You know,
Can't check it. The new laptop will blow up probably.
That he's never a striker, Mark. But
no,
like, you see it, Mark. Like the 98 minutes, like when Celtic are winning 3 or 4 0 in games, like he's still going. He's still not stopping. Like
I've never seen him sweating, Paul.
No,
I've never.
But you ever noticed though?
These baldy guys sweat a lot, as you know, Paul.
Do you know? Can I actually point something out there and ask you? It's like, did you ever notice?
You didn't even catch on, didn't you know?
I'm not bald at all.
Did you see him in the Grand National?
I have a grey head of hair on my face, I do. I actually brushed it down there the other day, but it was nearly hitting the shoulders. That's what I did.
But the old school lodge yelled at the front and Paul down like that. People don't do anything. Thing.
It's like the thing from Eddie Murphy. Do you remember the Coming to America, Mark? The slow glow. But and if you noticed the way he wears his shorts, Maida, and if you noticed that he tucks them in right up his tie. He actually, if you watch him now Sunday, right, look at his shorts. You know the rest of the shorts that they're down to the shorts now are kind of down to the knees. You kind of have knees length. A lot of the shorts are. He has them tucked up right to the top of his thighs. If you watch him running, his shorts are actually tucked up.
See with me there, see obviously he never stops running and stuff, obviously Ange says we never stop. Think obviously he was with Ange for 3 years.
He's a prime example of it, isn't he?
Aye, because he was with Ange for 3 years in Japan. Think that's obviously like Ange has had him that long, he's drummed that into him. Think we'll be seeing me that next season after a lot of players when obviously they've been there an extra season with Ange. I'll be drummed into a lot more. You'll be seeing a lot more players like no stopping as much as he does to stop.
Pre-season will be massive.
I think I think next season we'll see a different Hayate Mark with a proper pre-season, and the rest we see a proper Hayate Mark because the way he was at the start of the season, Mark, like
I think every player we've got, Paul,
yeah,
has got to
definitely.
improve. I've really not got any doubt about that. Ralston, even Taylor, I know we're meant to be saying that other left back, but for me, Taylor, if I've got Juranovic and Ralston on the right and Taylor and this new guy on the left, that will do me. Do you get what I mean?
O'Reilly's the one I'm thinking is going to make step up.
Definitely.
I hope so, man. I love you, O'Reilly, man. I really do.
He's like we're raving about players like and stuff like that, like and like the distribution that O'Reilly has, Welshy, is unbelievable. Like he's passing up the ball, he's crosses, he's free kicks. Like you know, he's
how many players do you think we need?
2.
I'd say about
3. I go 3.
About 4. I'd say about 4 maybe.
No,
players that's going to come in with an impact right away.
Right? We definitely
Is that not a great thing to be thinking at this time of the season?
Yeah,
I think we 9.
I think we definitely need a striker anyway, right? And
which strikes right, Paul? Do we need a striker? Or what about the young guy, Kenny? Could he not be our third choice?
I think
he's young.
No, I think
because for me, Paul, for me, if we're going to play with one up front, it's either Giacomakis or Kyogo, right? So we do need a third choice striker, but for me, it's either going to be like a young guy that's trying to make.
He's not ready for it, Mark. He's not ready for it.
Or it's going to be an older guy that's happy enough to be on the bench and be a third.
Maybe striker. I think just looking at
for me, it's Giacomakis every game.
I say that as well. Did you know here, Paul? Paul's not happening with that. Paul's not happening.
No, I'm not having that.
I never thought I'd say that after seeing Kyogo break through, but see now it's Giacomakis.
I say that as
well. I'd lean towards that a wee bit too. He's amazed me, man, for getting into the team there.
No, not having that.
But no,
I never realised how good he was till he never played against them.
Against different opposition, there's fun against for 2 of them, but in certain games, you need Kyogo.
A game you need to win.
What's that?
A game that you have to win.
Yeah, if there's a more physical side to a game, you're going to have to put in Giacomakis, but...
No, I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about a game that's a must-win game, and there's a choice between the two. For me, it's Giacomakis.
I've said that as well. Paul put up stats about this and that the other night, and I've said it on the forum. For me, Giacomakis is the most clinical and prolific goal scorer I've got.
If you've got to play the system we play when they play up the wings and stuff like that, then it's Giacomakis.
You've got Taylor and Ralston.
Do we actually
the box?
Do
and then do them Kyogo or Giacomakis?
Without doubt, Mark. It's thing like, but we don't always play like that. You get me? We only play like that, really, Mark, when Ralston's in the team. Do you know what I mean?
No, but the way Ange wants to play the game, Paul.
We don't change the way we play. We play the same.
You know.
But
we don't.
Well, should we play the exact same kind of football?
Mark,
and it's just what that actual focal point of the attack is.
But Mark, a lot of our crosses don't get into the box when Ralston's not there. Like Abada seems to have changed.
We're not talking about Ralston or Abada. We're talking about Giacomakis or Kyogo. So whether the crosses get into the box, the material, who would you either have in the box when that comes in?
Where's the centre half when Giacomakis is playing?
What's that?
When Giacomakis is playing, where's the centre halves? their centre halves favour the opposition. If they're with
He's
him,
there, yeah. He's in the
what I mean is
box.
they're with him, that allows the other players to come forward. He brings so much.
Got him on the ropes here, Welshy. Go for a dig, go for a dig.
No, go on, no.
Go for it under the belt. Punch Bawz.
I wouldn't have had this conversation 6 months ago,
I'm
but
still-
now I'm having it.
I'm still going Kyogo. Like everyone's going on about first touch Gianmarcus. Like, but if you look at Kyogo's stats, 14 of his goals as well have been first touches. Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
not saying Kyogo's shite.
No, I know that.
I just think that Kyogo, I've said it if he came in, Paul, I want to see Kyogo playing off a front man. Like,
But that's where I would go. But how would he do that then, Mark? Maybe
you're taking
maybe
physicality, you're taking a player for the midfield out. So then again, we need somebody with a big physical presence to cover and play beside McGregor to give a player like Kyogo enough space and roaming to play in that free role.
You know, like, I would love to see that, Mark. I'd love to see Kyogo and Gianmarcus in the same team, but
I just think.
what I don't want to see is Kyogo out in the rings because he's lost.
Definitely
Paul, here's one for you, right? Kyogo, if you actually watch a lot of how he does, he scores a lot of goals, but he misses a lot of chances.
Oh yeah, don't doubt.
Giakoumakis doesn't miss chances.
Well, does
he takes him well, doesn't he?
You know, if you look there,
it's actually a great argument.
I just think that it's like, see, for me, really, it's a bit like trying to. It's a bit of a push, I suppose, but it's like you're trying to shoehorn like Chris Sutton or John Hartson with Larson, either or. To get
there's for and against for both of them. Do you get me? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I just think that Giakoumakis is our best actual out and out striker.
Over the season, we need them both, but for the must-win games, it's Giakoumakis for me.
I think we could definitely
going to be, Paul, what we spoke about before, like an either or against certain opposition. Kyogo's movement and space and the way he runs them.
like the likes of games against Livingston and stuff like that, Mark, that we need to open up teams. I think Kyogo would be more better than teams that sit back because he'd run round and he'd create space. Do you get me? You know.
But no, Paul, was against teams like Livingston, I'd be going with Giakoumakis.
But why?
But
why? But if you're lobbing the ball into Denmark all the time, like even Barry said it, and even Jonas said it, if you're lobbing the ball into Gianmarcus, into big defenders, Mark, they're going to take that night and day.
Yeah, but it's not lobbing the ball in as well. It's the fact that he occupies the defenders.
He pulls them out.
You know, he pulls them out. Giakoumakis likes.
He's to bring the ball into his feet, Paul, and ping it off into his space he's in.
No, you won't win this. You won't win this against me anyway. I'm Kyogo anyway. So,
No,
you know,
we're not for Kyogo. We just don't see him as the best striker we've got. It's even I mean, look at Lee Griffiths. I mean, for years, Lee Griffiths was the best striker Celtic had. Never mind, right, without getting into the off-field problems.
Mark, he can't even get a club now. God love him, but it's actually sad. Mark, it's actually sad.
I mean, he was one of the best strikers that Celtic had for that kind of instinct in the penalty area. And I mean, it's just, as we said, Kyogo and Giakoumakis are different type of players. But if you're looking for a goal, Bawz going into the box and things like that, I just think Giakoumakis is better suited to that main role.
Yeah.
Right, so let's move on to midget Paul now, Paul.
No, but I was going to say, what positions we're on about players, like what positions do we need?
Well,
like people are saying, do we definitely need a left back? Do we? Yeah.
100%. But we've done that. That's done.
Aye, I think that.
You're right. Yeah, that's done. That's more
the
likely
most
done.
important signing of the season is Carter Vickers.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that.
Because that's what I said to when Mark we Barry on
that before, Paul.
and we were going
even ahead of Jota. If Jota doesn't want to stay, it's Carter Vickers for me all day.
It's not about signing players, Welshy. It's about retaining these players that we have, and that's because there's such no
continuation.
Yeah, continuation of players.
Building for,
like you said before,
building for position of strength.
Yeah, like if we have to go away and sign another centre back, we're going to have to build another centre back partnership again when just start from scratch. Like
we're not building a squad now, we're improving a squad.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. We're not looking.
Just go on, Mark. Go on, Mark. Sorry, go on.
Oh, just for Welshy, follow up what Welshy's saying. I've said it to you as well, Paul, in private. For me, Carter Vickers is the must signing that we've got to have this season.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to sign Jota as well, but if it comes to the two, it's got to be Carter Vickers because
I think most Celtic fans are
ideally we want the two of them to sign. I mean, that's the ideal scenario.
Mark, I kind of swear into the thing now as well, Mark, looking at the way Jota has been performing again the last couple of weeks, Mark, and the way he's been celebrating.
He's a player of the match the last 3 years.
Yeah, and the way he's been celebrating the achievements, I think Mark he could stay. But to be honest, like looking at it now, I think he will. Like I think Jota will stay as well. You know, I just want to come back. Mark,
The Champions League again, Paul. That's a big.
Yeah,
That's a big carrot for a young player like Jota.
Yeah,
Apparently, both that were in today parading around with next season strip on.
Mm-hmm.
And for loan players, that hopefully is a sign. That's that Natasha, what their name, she tweeted that.
What's that, Welshy? Sorry.
Apparently, Carter Vickers and Jota were in today parading around on the new Celtic strip for next season.
Wow.
That whether it's a sign or not, I don't know.
No, that's like a kind of marketing dream, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like at the same time.
Exactly. What about yourself, Mark? Before we go, like, what position would you think?
Oh well, just say the left back probably a done and dusted deal. And if we sign Carter Vickers and Jota, probably a striker. And again, I'd just like to sign a midfielder, Paul, somebody with a bit of dig, a bit of muscle about them, a bit of a swagger about them. Do
you know what, though, Mark?
People are saying it's all about a Neil Lennon or a Paul or a Peter Grant. No, Paul McStay, somebody like that.
Yeah.
A bit of a dig that can play a bit of football.
But what I want
tell him McGregor to push for one.
I'd love to, but I'd love to maybe hold off in that a while for just for myself, Mark, and see how would Gucci actually fit in there to play that role before we go making any other decisions on that. You get me? You know.
Do you think anybody will leave?
I think there's going to be
the big players.
I don't mean loan signings. I mean the ones that have been a success this year and somebody comes in for them.
It's a good show.
See, that's my biggest problem.
Joe Hart.
Well, like that if someone comes in and
That's putting the stage, isn't it?
Because there must be some managers looking at some of our boys and thinking these boys can play.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I mean, who's to say that some English teams, as they say in Celtic, you know, we'll give you £8-9 million for wee Orally.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
exactly, Mark.
I mean, £8-9 million, that's nothing down there. After even the 6 months he's had up here, we'll give you
It's a £7 million profit in 6 months.
Hopefully, Pedro's not taking much to do with the kind of deals because he'd be off if he was.
Yeah, that's the biggest team is holding on to the squad. Like in this,
but there will be. I mean, see for what the team has done this season, there will be players that have caught managers' eyes down in England that we're maybe not thinking about.
We've been naive to think.
Tony Ralston. You can't say somebody in England when they pay £6 million for £5-6 million for Tony Ralston.
Mm-hmm. Juranovic, Mark, there's talks that Leicester were looking at him.
Aye.
You know,
I mean, they were looking at Carter Vickers as well. They were up watching him. So there will be there will be offers for Celtic players, no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Are they going to be Champions League teams?
Well, Mark,
that's the carrot, isn't it?
But Mark, we could look at it this way too. Like, and hopefully the board do go. But like a lot of our outgoings for the last couple of seasons have been depending on the Champions League and depending on basically our budget for the year. Like, so with the Champions League money guaranteed, now Celtic don't necessarily have to sell their big players.
No, but it can also do it to play themselves and no prestige and everything else. When money comes in, it can change attitudes and minds, can't it?
Exactly, but that's the way. Like I hate these, you know, like Welshy, they go up and they kiss the barge and the next fucking week they're gone. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Dad, don't let that upset you, Paul.
To be honest with you, see it like, genuinely, if one of the players left this season to go to more money and stuff like that, and it was moving on, and it suited both parties, blah, 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 it might be. Genuinely think all these players genuinely have kissed the buzz this year. Do you know what I mean? They've been supportive and team and everything else. They've been brilliant.
See, it's right. See what you're saying, Paul. I totally understand you, man. It's like it broke my heart when Charlie Nicholas left Celtic. That's how old I am, and that's how I can never really badmouth Charlie Nicholas much because he was one of my first Celtic heroes. But
Brian McNair was mine.
I was going to mention him as well. Welshy, that was the next one. He bolted as well. Do you know? And players come and they go. It's like people hate on KT because he left Celtic. I don't blame any player for leaving Celtic, because it's life-changing money for a start for most of them. And at the end of the day, everybody's out trying to do the best they can for their family and their
You can't
wives and stuff
criticise
like
them
that.
if they've done a ton for you. You can't criticise them.
No, that's it, Welsh. I mean,
Mark, a prime example of that, Mark, was Edouard's
Especially
deal
in this day and age
to
with
Crystal
foreign
Palace.
players.
Money.
We just talked about Scottish players that have left Celtic, which is heartbreaking. It's horrible because they're one of yous, but to foreign players, they've not got that emotional connection like we've got. So it's as long as they've gave a turn and they've done their bit, then so be it.
Like, you have to credit, Mark, you have to credit James Forrest and like JFP saying there, like, I'm amazed nobody came in for Cal, but they did, Mark, the last season. There was where he'd choose to stay. But no, I actually can't see Cal McGregor leave. No, Mark, no, that he's
I
captain.
think that's him for maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll take the Scott Brown done. It'll be a year at some day in years to come.
Yeah.
I think Cal's a Celtic for years for life.
But you have to credit Denmark, like, you have to credit the likes of James Forrest, Beaton, Rogic, Scott Brown, Callum Mack, like, I mean, players who...
I don't honestly believe James Forrest would have found a better club than Celtic.
Well, Spurs, years when he was a young Welsh, Spurs definitely in for him. Spurs
win for him.
Definitely Welshy.
I think that was at a time when he was young and he was coming through, wasn't it? You know, when I don't know,
when he was a prospect better than what we see now.
Going back to the fact where you're talking about Scottish boys coming through and stuff, right? His heart was there with Celtic, blah blah blah. He didn't make that move, but what I'm getting is James Forrest in his prime, like 26, 27. I don't mean his prime and how good he was at the time. I just mean his age and prime and stuff. I don't think there was anybody that was going to give him a better club than Celtic.
No, like, the only time really, Mark, we got a good spell out of James Forrest is when Patrick Roberts was there. That's what James Forrest was in his prime.
Hughes.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? When he was in his prime, Paul, he was maybe kind of stepped up to the mark.
No.
He scored some important goals in Europe, didn't he, at that time?
Yeah, he did, in fairness to him.
And he was a bit like Rogic, wasn't he? He was always hot and cold, in and out the team. But he popped up with goals that... he popped up with important goals. You
know, as well, you know, there's so much... you look at the players that have left Celtic and gone on to different things. There's no many Scottish boys. Obviously, Tierney's gone and Chris is going down there, but you look at Scott Brown the whole time he was at Celtic. He had that one time when Newcastle were after him and he was going to go. But even then, for such a successful player at Celtic and how good he was and everything else,
you see, because...
You didn't hear many murmurings. There was only...
because, Welshy, there's a big thing down the south. And I was actually speaking to an Arsenal fan there at the start of the season when they were actually in for Kieran Tierney. And when they were signing with that, and he asked me, "Oh, you know about that sign? No, like, he's from Scotland, like, and thing, and then, like, how good is he? Do you know what I mean?" And I'm looking, going, "Cop yourself on, like." Do you know what I mean?
Fans' opinion don't come into it when it comes to that, Paul. You look at the players we've signed this season. Who's he? Never heard of him.
Mm-hmm. No, but I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of the clubs have that attitude as well. Well, you down there, that, or they're playing up in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? I think they have that, like.
Van Dijk's a perfect example.
No, Virgil's the best defender in the world, isn't he, really? He really isn't, Paul.
They never trusted him until he went to Southampton.
Exactly. I'm no big fan of Liverpool, Paul, but I'll admit that. But half the fans down in England didn't know who he was till he turned up at Southampton.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just a kind of snobbery in that. I mean, JFP says it and Mikey says it, and see, like Callum McGregor, honest to God, Callum McGregor could play for some of the biggest teams in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in here. My pals were all Man United, City, Everton, Liverpool, whatever it might be, and you talk to them and stuff like that. And every time you talk about a Celtic player being a good player, they dismiss you at a hand.
Aye.
They're not interested.
And yet, they're just some of the players that have been down to England in the last over 10 years, some of the best players.
Like Mark,
Even in the last 20 odd years, 30 years, the likes of Brian McClure and that Welshy.
yeah,
They just
exactly.
consistently produce these players that they go and improve themselves at a higher level.
But he's locked in here. They'll sign a player for 50 million for a team in France or Italy that they've heard of.
Exactly.
Oh, he looks good.
Yeah.
Just because of the league he's come from, not because of who he is or what he's done.
A prime example of a money raking dig, John, has been Edward. I mean, he can't even get a game at Crystal Palace, and he actually, I was actually reading the other day that they're actually considering selling him in the summer. Edward, you know, John gone.
I don't deny Edward having a good career. The problem with Edward is we kept him a season too long.
What's that, Welshy?
We kept him for that season because it was coming up to the 10. We should have let him go when he wanted to go at the start of that season.
That was a big mistake.
It was the wrong club for him.
But that was Vieira. I mean, that's the weird thing, Paul. That was Vieira that pushed for him to get signed.
And Vieira wanted to sign him as well, Mark, when he was in France.
Aye, that's weird that he's not getting Palace. But Paul, as I said, I've just rhymed off what I put on the forum. No many players leave Celtic. They'll leave Celtic and become a lot richer, but no many of them going to better and bigger things.
No, they don't, Mark. No, they don't. They don't. And a lot of players come back.
A very, very short list.
A lot of players come back and say, Mark, saying they shouldn't have left Celtic when they did.
Armstrong's done well. I mean, he's behind the scenes, but he's not going to be a world beater, but he's done well down there.
He's done well down Southampton, in fairness to him, he has. You know.
Who was that, Welshy?
Armstrong.
Is he doing all right down there?
I mean, he's not a world beater, but he's
still Mark.
A lot of the times, see the Celtic players I keep track of, it's less see doing English forums and editing them, I keep track of how they're talking about the end.
Even Elliot, he's had a lot of game time this. Elliot, he's had a lot of game time done well.
Who was that?
Elliot, he's had a lot of game time down there and done well.
Aye, I saw that as well, aye.
Who's that?
Held that Elliot Anushi at Southampton.
Yeah, he is, Mark, yeah.
Helder, the young player that left and went to Leeds. The Leeds fans quite fancy him, kind of thing. They're saying he should.
Next season break. I think, Mark, if they go, it's kind of looking more likely, you know, that they could go down Leeds. That Helder will play a lot of games because they'll have to sell. I think
probably the fans do rate him for what they've seen for him.
Yeah, so I think he'll get a few games next season with them, you know. I guess Mark Michael's not coming on tonight, so we'll talk to him another night. Thanks for Brian for joining us tonight. Thanks to John for joining us. I don't know where he went at the end of the show.
I tried to get him back on there and it didn't connect.
We're back on to Sunday night. We're going to celebrate massively on the podcast on Sunday. Welshy hopefully will join us.
What happened to Michael? So he was going on.
His wife was at, there was some big women's race hang up at Perth or something, Welshy. Wife is at that and they get roped into going to have to pick her and her pals up, so.
So what we hope.
That's Mikey, it's just on the Discord today, by the way, Welshy.
I know, I seen him.
He'll tell you what it is on that probably. But we'll doing his own.
So what we're hoping on Sunday is that all the lads who've joined us during the season on the podcast, we're going to have Welshy, John, 7 o'clock. Welshy, John, Terence, Barry, JFP will join us. Michael will be joining us. We're going to be on all at once, celebrating Celtic season. We'll talk about our player of the years, why we nominated that player of the year. Just going to be
the goalkeeper. Is it Toby? Something was he like?
I haven't done him yet, but that's going to be next Thursday show. That's going to be a full show, Toby.
A 5-hour special. 5-hour Toby special.
You know what, Mark? You know what? I nearly put it off as well. I said.
Another 20 jotters on his bed come Sunday.
Aye.
That's it for tonight, Mark. That's it for tonight, lads. Thanks very much for joining us. Mark will close the show.
Right, just thanks to you, Paul, for everything you do, bud. To really appreciate it. Thanks, Welshy, for coming on. John, I don't know where you went again. Everybody that joins the live chat, thanks very much for joining in. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button. Please subscribe, and if you know, leave a comment under the video. That really helps on YouTube for us. Hail, hail, good night, and God bless.
Thanks, boys. You're absolutely brilliant.
Cheers, very much.
Cheers, mate.
Bye bye.